Have you ever truly watched a leaf in autumn? It does not fight. It does not argue with the wind or bargain with the branch. It holds on, yes, through the green summer of its purpose, but when its season is over, it simply lets go. There is no struggle, only a quiet surrender, a final, graceful dance on an invisible current, trusting that the wind knows the way, that the ground will be there to receive it. And you, how long has it been since you have known such grace? How long have you been holding on, with a strength born not of love, but of fear? You feel it in your body, don't you? The clenched jaw in your sleep, the shoulders pulled tight against the weight of a world you were never meant to carry alone. The constant, low hum of anxiety in your chest, a signal that you are trying to control the uncontrollable. You manage schedules, you manage expectations, you manage the precise image you present to the world, hoping that if you just keep all the pieces in place, nothing will fall apart. You replay conversations, you preempt disasters that never arrive. You try to steer the great wild river of life with a tiny, trembling oar. You are carrying a stone that no one else can see, and with every step, you feel yourself sinking into the ground. But here, in this space, for this moment, you can set it down, take a breath, a real one. Feel it travel past your throat, into your lungs, and imagine it reaching all the tense, tired places within you. This space we are creating now is a sanctuary, not a place to escape the world, but a place to finally meet yourself. It is a quiet room, away from the noise, away from the demands, away from the relentless need to perform. Here, you do not have to be strong. You only have to be present. This is the beginning of a journey inward, a journey into the profound and terrifying art of release. It is a journey to understand that the opposite of control is not chaos. It is trust. It is the discovery that when you finally unclench your fist, you do not lose everything. You simply make space to receive what was meant for you all along. This is the path to realizing a quiet, unshakable truth. When you let go, the universe arranges everything. Let us begin with the hand itself. Right now, wherever you are, I invite you to slowly, consciously make a fist. Do not do it with aggression, but with curiosity. Feel the fingers curling inward, one by one, folding over the thumb or pressing it tight against their backs. Feel the muscles in your forearm contract, the tendons pull taut across your wrist. Notice the color draining from your knuckles as the pressure builds. There is a hardness there, a sense of containment, of captured energy. This small, simple shape is a fortress. It is the physical manifestation of the word no. It is a wall. It is a shield. It is the shape of resistance. Hold it for a moment longer. Feel the strain. This is the energy of control. This is the posture your soul has been holding for years. Now extend that feeling beyond your hand. Where else in your body do you feel this clench? Is it in your jaw, ground tight in the dead of night, wrestling with words that were never said? Is it in your stomach, a knot of worry about a future that exists only in your imagination? Is it in your shoulders, pulled up towards your ears as if to protect your neck from a blow that never comes? Your body is a sacred text, and its tensions are the words written upon the page. They tell the story of every battle you have fought, every fear you have held, every burden you have refused to set down. This clenched fist is not just in your hand. It is a philosophy you have been living. It is the unconscious belief that safety lies in holding on, that security is achieved by tightening your grip on the world, on others, on yourself. We clench around our jobs, believing that our relentless grip is the only thing preventing our careers from dissolving into thin air. We clench around our relationships, micromanaging emotions and orchestrating interactions, terrified that if we stop applying pressure, love will simply float away. We clench around our children, our finances, our health, our carefully constructed identity. We live as if we are the lonely captain of a ship in a perpetual hurricane, believing that if we let go of the wheel for even a single second, we will be dashed against the rocks. And so the war begins, not a war with the world, but a war within your own skin. It is a silent, exhausting civil war. There is a part of you, a deep, ancient part, that yearns for peace. It whispers of release, of flow, of the simple joy of an open hand. It remembers a time, perhaps in childhood, when you could lie on your back and watch the clouds drift without needing to name them, without needing to predict their path or fear the rain they might bring. This part of you craves the sea. It wants to dissolve into the vastness of experience, to trust the currents of life. But there is another part, the part that clenches the fist. This is the voice of the ego, the inner architect of control. This voice is not malicious. It is simply terrified. It was born from past pains, from moments when letting go resulted in hurt, from a world that taught you that vulnerability is weakness. And so this voice screams. It screams of responsibility, of danger, of the endless list of things that could go wrong. It tells you that the whispers of peace are a siren's song, luring you towards disaster. It insists that the dam you have built is the only thing holding back a terrifying flood of chaos. Do not listen. It commands. Hold on tighter. Be vigilant. Do not rest. This is the central conflict of the weary soul, the desire for the open sky versus the perceived safety of the cage. One part of you builds the prison, the other rattles the bars, and you are the exhausted battlefield upon which this struggle rages. The tragedy is that the fist, held for so long, begins to feel normal. The tension in your shoulders feels like strength. The constant worry feels like responsibility. The inability to relax feels like diligence. You forget what it is like to live without the clench. You forget the feeling of an open palm, of muscles at rest, of a mind that is a quiet lake rather than a churning storm. The fortress you have built to keep danger out has become a prison that keeps you in. It keeps out joy. It keeps out serendipity. It keeps out the gentle, unexpected grace of the universe that can only enter through an open door. Now, I want you to consider a radical, frightening possibility. What if the fist is holding nothing at all? Imagine your fist is clenched around a handful of fine, dry sand. Squeeze it tighter. What happens? The harder you press, the more desperately you try to contain it. The faster the grains escape through the cracks between your fingers. Your effort to control it is the very reason you are losing it. Now imagine you are trying to hold water in your fist. The idea is absurd. The clench is useless. To feel the water, to truly experience it, you must do the opposite. You must open your hand. You must form a gentle cup. You must surrender your need to possess it and simply allow yourself to be filled by it. This is the great illusion of control. You think your grip is what holds your life together, but it is often the very thing that is tearing it apart. Your relentless effort is not preventing chaos. It is creating resistance. It is introducing a friction into the system that makes everything harder. Life is a river. Your desperate attempt to control it is the dam. You think you are protecting yourself from the water, but you are actually starving yourself of its life-giving flow. The universe is not a fragile machine that will break if you stop forcing the gears. It is a vast, intelligent, self-organizing system that operates on principles far more profound than your anxious planning. The core message is this: true strength is not found in the power to clench. That is the strength of fear. True strength is found in the courage to open. That is the strength of trust. The act of consciously unclenching your jaw, of dropping your shoulders, of opening your hand, is not an act of defeat. It is an act of profound wisdom. It is a declaration that you are choosing to stop fighting a war against reality. It is an admission that there are forces greater than your own ego, and you are willing finally to work with them instead of against them. This is not a call to inaction or passivity. The open hand is not a limp hand. It is a hand that is ready to receive, ready to give, ready to respond to what is actually happening, rather than reacting to 1,000 fears of what might happen. The farmer does not force the seed to grow by squeezing it. He places it in the receptive earth, an open palm, and trusts the process of sun and rain. Your life is the same. Your work now is not to try harder, but to practice softness. So let this be your practice. As you move through your day, become a gentle observer of your own tension. When you find your hand has become a fist while you are driving or typing or talking, just notice it. No judgment, no criticism, simply notice. And then, with a quiet inner intention, open it. Feel the blood flow back into your fingers. Feel the release of that stored, stagnant energy. When you feel your jaw tighten, consciously let it go slack. When you feel your shoulders creeping towards your ears, invite them to drop. Each time you do this, you are casting a vote for trust over fear. You are dismantling your inner prison, one brick at a time. You are learning the forgotten language of release. This is the first and most fundamental step. Before the universe can arrange anything, you must first be willing to open your hand. If the clenched fist is the body's posture of resistance, the echo of the past is the mind's. It is the ghost in the machine, the phantom limb that aches long after the wound is healed. The past is not a physical place, yet you live there for hours every day. You walk its hallways, you trace the faded patterns on its walls, you sit in its empty rooms and listen. You listen for the echo of a cruel word spoken years ago, the echo of a door slamming shut, the echo of praise that you fear you will never hear again, the echo of your own voice, making a promise you could not keep, or a mistake you cannot forgive. The original sound is gone, the event is over, a vapor trail in the sky of time. But the mind, in its desperate attempt to make sense of itself, has become an echo chamber. It captures these old sounds and bounces them back and forth, amplifying them until the echo becomes louder than the present moment. Your mind is a master storyteller, and its favorite character is you. Its favorite setting is yesterday. It endlessly rehearses what you should have said. It meticulously reconstructs scenes of failure and heartbreak, searching for a clue, for a different ending that will never come. It polishes the trophies of old victories until they gleam brighter than any possible future success. We do this because we believe, on some fundamental level, that we are our stories. We mistake the narrative for the self. The collection of memories, hurts, and triumphs becomes the architecture of our identity. To let go of the past, then, feels like a form of self-annihilation. Who would I be without my scars? Who would I be without this righteous anger I have carried for so long? Who would I be without the memory of that one perfect summer when I felt truly alive? The ghost whispers that without it, you would be nothing, a blank page, and the blank page is terrifying. So we become curators of our own private museums. You are the sole visitor and the chief conservator, and your admission is free, paid for with the currency of your attention, your energy, your life force. You walk into the Hall of Grievances, where the portraits of those who wronged you hang in ornate frames. You dust them off daily, keeping their faces clear in your mind, preserving the exact shade of their injustice. You stand before them and feel that familiar, hot surge of resentment. It is a painful feeling, but it is also validating. It proves you were the victim, that you were right. Next, you visit the gallery of regrets. Here, under harsh, unforgiving light, are dioramas of your every misstep. The job you shouldn't have taken, the love you let slip away, the foolish investment, the moment of cowardice. You analyze them from every angle, the curator's notes explaining in excruciating detail how things could have been different, how you could have been better. And then there is the most seductive wing of the museum, the Hall of Past Glories. Here, your finest moments are preserved under glass. The award you won, the love you once had, the body you once inhabited, the peak of a mountain you once climbed. You press your face to the glass, longing to be back inside that perfect frozen moment. And in doing so, you fail to notice the world outside the museum walls, where new mountains are waiting to be climbed. This is the life of the haunted. You spend your days tending to ghosts, and this gives rise to a deep inner conflict. A part of you, the seeker of light, the soul that craves growth, stands at the museum entrance, begging you to come outside. It points to the sun, to the fresh air of the present moment, to the unwritten potential of tomorrow. It knows that life is not a retrospective, it is a creative act, happening now. It whispers, "Let the museum go, let the ghosts rest. Your life is out here." But the curator, the ego, stands guard at the door. It refuses to let you leave. It argues that the collection is priceless. This pain is your wisdom, it insists. This anger is your shield. This regret is your teacher. This past glory is your worth. If you abandon them, you abandon yourself, and so you are torn. You are caught between the desire for a new beginning and the loyalty you feel to your own history. You want to write a new chapter, but you cannot bring yourself to put down the book of yesterday. You are trying to drive forward while staring intently into the rear-view mirror. The result is not progress. It is a slow, agonizing crash. The core message, the key that unlocks the museum door, is this: letting go of the past is not an act of erasure. It is an act of integration. It is not forgetting. It is a higher form of remembering. Forgetting is suppression. You push the memory down, lock it in the basement, but you can still hear it scratching at the door. It consumes your energy to keep it locked away. Integration is different. Integration is walking into the hall of grievances, looking at a portrait and saying, "Yes, that happened. It hurt. I learned from it. The lesson is now a part of me, but the emotional charge, the poison of resentment, I no longer need to drink." It is walking into the gallery of regrets, seeing a mistake, and saying, "Yes, I did that. I was doing the best I could with the knowledge I had. I forgive myself. The wisdom is now mine, but the shame is a weight I no longer need to carry." It is standing in the hall of past glories and saying, "Yes, that was beautiful. I am grateful for that experience. It showed me what is possible, and now I will take that possibility and create something new." Letting go is the act of harvesting the wisdom and leaving the dead weight behind. It is liberating the vast, precious reserves of your energy from the task of keeping the past alive and reinvesting that energy into the only moment you will ever have, this one. You do not dishonor your past by moving on. You honor it by using its lessons to build a better present. The shadow that follows you does not disappear by running from it. It integrates when you turn to face it, acknowledge its presence, and then continue walking toward the light. It is still there, but it is behind you, where shadows belong. So, how do we begin this great act of liberation? We begin with a ritual, a simple, physical act to signal to the deepest parts of your being that you are ready to close a chapter. Sometime in the coming days, find a quiet moment and a piece of paper, and write. Do not edit or censor yourself. Let the echoes pour out of you and onto the page. Write down the names, the events, the regrets, the grievances. Give the ghosts a form in ink. Feel the weight of each word as you write it. This is what you have been carrying. See it there, outside of you, contained on the paper. Read it one last time. Take a deep breath and understand this fundamental truth. This paper is not you. These words are not you. They are stories. They are echoes. And you are the one who decides when the story is over. Then, in a safe and conscious way, destroy it, burn it, and watch the smoke carry the old energy away. Tear it into tiny pieces and let the wind scatter them. Bury it in the earth. As you do, make a silent declaration. I release this. I am grateful for the lessons. I am now free. This single act will not solve everything overnight, but it is a beginning. It is the turning of a key. It is the first brave step out of the museum and into the sunlight of the present day. You have faced the clenched fist of the present and the echoing ghosts of the past. Now we must turn to face the other direction, toward the shimmering, deceptive horizon of what is to come. We must confront the most subtle and insidious oppressor of the human heart, the tyranny of what if. Inside your mind lives a phantom architect. It is a tireless builder, working day and night. But it does not build with wood or stone. It builds with fear. Its only blueprints are for disaster. This architect spends its time constructing elaborate futures of failure, houses of loss, and cathedrals of catastrophe. It shows you, in vivid detail, the moment you lose your job. It walks you through the hospital corridor where you receive bad news. It lets you feel the cold silence in a room after a relationship has ended. It builds these phantom worlds with such skill, such intricate detail, that you forget they are not real. You begin to live in them. This architect is the voice of what if. What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if I get sick? What if I make the wrong choice? What if all my efforts come to nothing? Each question is a brick laid in a wall that separates you from the present moment. Each scenario is a room added to the prison of your own anxiety. And where does the energy for this massive, ceaseless construction project come from? It is stolen, it is embezzled, moment by moment, from the only resource you truly have, your life, right now. Every ounce of energy you spend worrying about a future that does not exist is energy that cannot be used to appreciate, create, or experience the present. You are paying interest, in the currency of your own vitality, on a debt you may never owe. You are sacrificing the tangible reality of today for the imagined terrors of tomorrow. The mind engages in this behavior because it believes it is helping. It mistakes this constant, anxious forecasting for preparation. It operates under the delusion that if it can imagine every possible negative outcome, it can somehow prevent them, or at least soften the blow when they arrive. It's like trying to avoid a fall by spending your entire life cowering on the floor. The mind believes it is being vigilant, but it is actually being held hostage. It thinks it is a watchman on the tower, scanning for enemies, but it has become a prisoner in the dungeon, staring at shadows on the wall and mistaking them for monsters. This is the ultimate deception of anxiety. It promises safety, but it delivers only paralysis. It promises to protect you from future pain, but it does so by inflicting a constant, low-grade pain upon you in the present. You are so afraid of a potential storm that you refuse to ever step out into the sunshine. This creates a profound inner conflict. There is a part of you, the citizen of today, that simply wants to live. It wants to taste the food you are eating, not the worry of where your next meal will come from. It wants to feel the warmth of a loved one's hand, not the fear of one day losing it. It wants to engage fully in the work before you, not be distracted by the specter of a future failure. This part of you knows that life is here. It is in the feeling of breath entering your lungs, the texture of the chair beneath you, the sound of the rain against the window pane. But the prisoner of tomorrow is shackled to the what if. It cannot live here because it is already over there, fighting battles that haven't begun, mourning losses that haven't occurred. You are trying to inhabit two worlds at once. You have one foot in the solid reality of the now, and one foot in the ghostly, vaporous realm of the future. And so you are stable in neither. You are perpetually off balance, unable to give your full self to anything. Your presence is diluted, your joy is muted, and your power is scattered. The tyranny of what if ensures that you are never truly where you are. The great secret, the truth that can dismantle this phantom architecture, is devastatingly simple. The future does not exist. It is a concept, it is a direction, it is a possibility, but it has no reality. It is a ghost. The only time you will ever live is now. The only place you can ever feel, or love, or act, or be, is here. When the future does arrive, it will not arrive as the future. It will arrive as another now. And the best way to prepare for that future now is to be as fully, consciously, and powerfully present in this now as you can possibly be. To let go of the future does not mean to abandon your goals or to stop making plans. The farmer still intends to have a harvest, but he does not spend his days digging up the seed to see if it's growing. He plants the seed that is his action in the present. He waters the soil that is his action in the present. He tends the ground that is his action in the present. He lets go of the outcome, trusting that if he takes care of the present moments, the future will take care of itself. Your anxious mind believes that its grip on the future gives you control. But look closely. What does this control actually feel like? It feels like a knot in your stomach. It feels like a racing heart. It feels like sleepless nights. That is not control. That is suffering. True control, the only control you ever really have, is the ability to choose your state of being in this moment. You can choose to be a prisoner of your thoughts, or you can choose to be an observer of them. You can choose to fuel the phantom architect, or you can choose to peacefully withdraw its funding. You let go of the future not by becoming passive, but by becoming radically present. You pour all of that scattered, worried energy into this single moment, and it transforms from a diluted mist into a concentrated, powerful beam of light. So, here is your practice. It is an anchor in the storm of what if. The next time the architect begins its work, the next time the voice starts its litany of potential disasters, do not fight it. Do not argue with the thoughts or try to suppress them. That is like trying to flatten waves with an iron. It only creates more turmoil. Instead, simply and gently, introduce a new question. A quiet question that pulls you back from the edge. When the mind says, "What if you lose everything?" you will gently ask, "That is a thought about then. But what about now? Right here, in this moment, am I breathing?" Feel the air enter your lungs. Feel it leave. When the mind says, "What if they hurt you?" you will ask, "That is a story about a possible future. But what about now? Right here. Can I feel the ground beneath my feet? Am I, in this physical moment, safe?" This simple, compassionate question is your anchor. It yanks your awareness out of the imaginary world of fear and plants it firmly back into the soil of reality. It does not deny the possibility of future pain, but it refuses to sacrifice the certainty of present reality for it. Each time you do this, you are weakening the tyrant. You are cutting off the architect's power supply. You are teaching your mind, slowly and patiently, that safety is not found in worrying about the future. It is found in inhabiting the present. You have quieted the fist that clenches, the echo that haunts, and the fear that projects. Now we must go deeper, to the very root of the one who is clenching and listening and fearing. We must examine the most sacred and heavy object you carry, your identity. From a very young age, you began to construct a mask. It was not a malicious act. It was an act of survival. A parent praised you for being the good child, and you learned to wear that face. A teacher called you smart, and you added that piece to the collage. You succeeded at something and became the competent one. You failed and became the disappointment. You were hurt and became the victim or the survivor. Society, family, and your own experiences handed you piece after piece of material. And you, with the innocent intention of navigating the world, began to sew them together. You forged a suit of armor to protect the soft, vulnerable self within. The armor had a nameplate. It read, "I am a strong person. I am a creative. I am a logical thinker. I am the one who always helps." For a time, this armor served you. It gave you a role to play, a way to be understood, a script to follow. The problem is not the armor. The problem is that you have been wearing it for so long, you have forgotten you are not the steel. The mask has fused to your skin. This rigid identity, this suit of armor, which once felt like protection, has now become a cage. It restricts your movement. It limits your breath. Life, in its infinite and unpredictable wisdom, will inevitably ask you to be something your armor is not. Life will ask the person wearing the "I am strong" mask to be vulnerable and ask for help. But the armor will not bend. To ask for help would be to admit defeat, to shatter the very identity you believe keeps you safe. So you suffer in silence, the pressure building inside the unyielding steel, Life will ask the person with the "I am successful" identity to face a failure, a bankruptcy, a project that crumbles to dust. But for them, failure is not an event. It is an existential threat. It means their mask, their very self, is a lie. So they live in a constant state of terror, defending the mask at all costs, unable to take risks or embrace the learning that only comes from falling down. The person who is the kind one cannot feel or express anger, so it turns inward, becoming resentment or depression. The person who is the intelligent one cannot say, "I don't know," and so their curiosity withers and dies. Your identity, your definition of self, has become a set of rules you must obey. And life is a wild, beautiful, chaotic thing that has no interest in your rules. The source of so much of our pain is this simple friction, the clash between the fluid reality of life and the rigid fiction of who we think we are. This creates a silent, desperate war between the mask and the face. Beneath the carefully polished exterior of your identity is your true face, your authentic self. This self is not one thing. It is a vast, contradictory, and beautiful landscape. It is strong and it is weak. It is wise and it is foolish. It is brave and it is terrified. It is sacred and it is profane. It wants to laugh loudly, cry freely, be messy, be uncertain, change its mind, and rest when it is tired. But the mask, the warden of your self-image, forbids it, and so the conflict rages. Your heart wants to collapse in grief, but the mask of the Stoic says, "Keep it together." Your intuition screams for you to leave a situation, but the mask of the loyal one says, "You cannot give up." Your spirit yearns to play, to create something useless and beautiful, but the mask of the productive one says, "That is a waste of time." Living this way is utterly exhausting. It is the life of a performer in a play that never ends. You are constantly monitoring yourself, policing your own feelings, curating your own behavior to ensure it aligns with the character you have chosen to play. You live with the persistent, low-grade fear of being found out, of having the mask slip and revealing the raw, unscripted, human face beneath. You fear that if people saw who you really are, in all your glorious, messy complexity, they would reject you. The tragic irony is that the thing you are hiding is the most beautiful thing about you. It is your humanity. The message that will set you free, the truth that will dissolve the mask, is this: you are a river, not a statue. For years, you have been trying to be a statue in the garden of life. You want to be carved from a single noble stone with a clear definition, an admirable pose, and a permanent place. You want to be something solid, predictable, and unchanging so that people will know what to expect of you, and so that you will know what to expect of yourself. But your true nature, the nature of all life, is not that of a statue. Your nature is that of the river that flows through the garden. The river is not one thing. One day it is a raging torrent, carving new paths through the landscape. The next, it is a placid, gentle stream, so clear you can see the stones on its bed. Sometimes it is muddy, filled with the debris of a recent storm. Sometimes it is sparkling, reflecting the light of the sun. Is the river any less itself when it is muddy than when it is clear? Number. It is simply the river, being what it is in that moment, in response to the conditions around it. To let go of your fixed identity is to give yourself the same permission. It is not to become nothing, it is to become everything. It is to embrace your own fluidity and to have the courage to be whatever you truly are in this moment, not what you think you are supposed to be. The practice, then, is not one of becoming, but of unbecoming. It is the gentle and persistent act of questioning the labels you have attached to yourself. Begin by listening. Listen to the voice in your head and pay special attention to the two most powerful and most dangerous words in your language: I am. When you catch yourself thinking, "I am an anxious person," pause. Is that the absolute truth? Or are you a vast, conscious being who is, in this moment, experiencing the energy of anxiety. Can you see the difference? The first is a life sentence. The second is the weather. When you think, "I am a failure," pause. Is that who you are in your totality? Or are you a human being who has experienced a failure, an event, a data point in a long and complex life? When you think, "I am not a creative person," ask yourself, is that true? Or is that just a story I learned to tell myself? This practice of gentle inquiry creates a space. It inserts a wedge between you, the vast, silent awareness, and the stories you tell about yourself. You stop identifying with the thought and start becoming the observer of the thought. You are not the mask. You are not the armor. You are the one who is aware of the armor. And in that awareness lies your freedom. You don't have to tear the mask off in a violent act. You simply stop giving it your belief. You let it soften, and one day you will realize it has dissolved back into the river of your being, and you are, for the first time, free to simply flow. We have journeyed inward, examining the fist that grips the present, the ghosts that haunt the past, the phantoms that build the future, and the mask that constricts the soul. Now, we must turn our gaze outward, to the source of so much of this internal pressure. We must face the ceaseless, deafening roar of the world. Every day, you wake up and walk into a vast, chaotic marketplace. It is the marketplace of opinion, of comparison, of judgment. Everyone is shouting, voices from screens, from billboards, from colleagues, from family, even from strangers. They are all selling something. They are selling you ideas of who you should be, what you should want, how you should look, and what it means to be successful. "Look at my perfect life," one stall screams. "Buy this, and you will be happy," another insists. "Believe this, and you will belong," a third promises. And you walk through this cacophony holding a small, empty cup. This cup is your sense of self-worth. You have been taught, from your very first breath, that this cup can only be filled from the outside. So you hold it out, a beggar in the bazaar of approval, hoping for a few drops of validation to be tossed your way. A like on a photograph, a compliment on your work, a promotion, the approval of your peers. Each drop makes the cup feel, for a fleeting moment, a little less empty. This seeking of external validation is the great addiction of the modern soul. It is a hunger that can never be satisfied. Each drop of praise, each nod of approval provides a momentary rush, a fleeting sensation of being worthy, of being seen. But like any drug, the effect wears off, and the craving returns, stronger this time. You begin to tailor your life, not to the specifications of your own heart, but to the demands of the marketplace. You post the picture you think the crowd will applaud, not the one that captures a moment of authentic joy. You chase the career that sounds impressive to others, not the one that nourishes your spirit. You silence your own unconventional opinions to echo the safe, popular sentiments of the group. You become a brilliant actor, playing the part of the person you think the world wants you to be. You have discarded your own inner compass, the quiet, magnetic needle that points to your true north, and you have replaced it with a weather vane. A weather vane is a brilliant instrument for showing which way the wind is blowing. But it is a terrible tool for navigating your life. It has no direction of its own. It just spins and spins, beholden to every passing breeze of public opinion. This creates the deepest fracture in the human spirit. It is the conflict between the compass and the weather vane. Deep within you, beneath the noise, is your compass. It is your intuition, your soul's resonance. It does not speak in loud commands, but in quiet feelings. It is the subtle sense of rightness when you are on your true path, and the gnawing feeling of unease when you have strayed. It is the voice that whispers, "This is you, and this is not you." It is unwaveringly honest. The weather vane, however, is your ego's desperate need for acceptance. It is the part of you that is terrified of being left out, of being judged, of being invisible. It constantly scans the faces in the crowd, trying to read their expectations. It is loud, anxious, and obsessed with your performance. And so you live in a state of perpetual conflict. Your compass points you toward a quiet life of simple purpose, but the weather vane sees that the world is applauding hustle and glamour. Your compass tells you to speak a difficult truth, but the weather vane sees that the crowd will punish you for it. Your compass urges you to rest, but the weather vane screams that you will fall behind. You are torn between what feels true and what looks good, and in this division you can find no peace. You feel like a stranger in your own life, because you have been taking your directions from everyone but yourself. The core message, the great turning point on this journey, is this: your worth is not a performance to be graded by the world. It is a fact to be discovered within yourself. It is not something you earn through applause. It is something you uncover in silence. It is inherent, non-negotiable, and utterly independent of anyone's opinion, including your own. To let go of the noise of the world is to stop holding out the empty cup. It is the terrifying and liberating decision to set the cup down and realize that you are not the cup, you are the well. The source of your own validation is within you. The world's applause is a fickle and dangerous thing upon which to build a life. The same crowd that lifts you onto their shoulders one day will be the same crowd that tramples you the next. Their praise is not about you. It is about them, about their own needs and projections. To build your home on the shifting sands of public opinion is to guarantee that it will collapse. The only solid ground, the only true foundation, is the bedrock of your own quiet self-acceptance. It is the ability to do something, create something, or be something, and to know its value without needing a single other person to affirm it. This is not arrogance. It is autonomy. It is spiritual sovereignty. How, then, do you begin this great turning inward? How do you learn to hear the whisper of your own soul beneath the roar of the marketplace? You must give it the one thing it needs to be heard. You must give it silence. The noise of the world is an intruder, but you have been leaving the door wide open for it. The practice is to consciously, deliberately close the door for a small period every single day. Carve out 5 minutes from your schedule, perhaps 10. It is not a long time, but it will be the most important time of your day. In this time, you will enter the sanctuary of silence. This means no phone, no television, no music, no podcasts, no books. You simply sit. You sit with yourself, and you let the noise happen. And at first, it will be deafening. The echoes of the marketplace will rush into the vacuum. You will hear the voices of your critics, the demands of your to-do list, the anxieties about your image. Do not fight them. Let them scream. They are like unruly children seeking your attention. And if you simply sit there, without engaging them, without feeding them your belief, they will eventually tire themselves out. They will recede. And in the space that they leave, there will be a profound stillness. It might feel unfamiliar, even uncomfortable at first, but stay with it. And in that stillness, if you listen with your heart instead of your ears, you will begin to hear a new sound. It is a quiet, steady, unwavering vibration. It is the voice of your compass. It has been there all along, patiently waiting for you to come home. This practice of silence is how you fill your own cup. It is how you learn to distinguish the weather vane from the true north. It is the ultimate act of letting go, of releasing the world, so that you can finally find yourself. You have stood at the edge of your inner world and acknowledged the burdens you carry. You have seen the clenched fist, the ghosts of the past, the phantoms of the future, the mask of identity, and the noise of the world. The act of seeing is the first great step. Now, the journey shifts. We move from acknowledging the weight to learning how to set it down. We begin the path of release. And the gateway to this path is not found in a complex philosophy or a distant monastery. It is found in something you are already doing, something so intimate and constant that you have forgotten its power. It is found in your breath. Right now, a quiet miracle is occurring within you, an inflow and an outflow. a tide that rises and falls without your command. For your entire life, this rhythm has sustained you, a faithful, silent servant operating in the background. But the breath holds a secret. It is the only system in your body that is both perfectly autonomic and perfectly controllable. It lives in the mysterious space between your unconscious and conscious worlds. You can ignore it, and it will continue. Or you can take hold of it, and it will become the most powerful tool you possess. It is the bridge between your scattered mind and your grounded body. It is the thread that can lead you out of the labyrinth of your thoughts and back into the simple, solid reality of the present moment. Your mind is a stormy sea. The winds of the past blow in waves of regret and nostalgia. The winds of the future whip up swells of anxiety and fear. The winds of the world's opinion create a chaotic, unpredictable chop. Your awareness, like a small, rudderless boat, is tossed about mercilessly on this sea. You are thrown from one wave of thought to the next, from one surge of emotion to another, never knowing a moment's peace, never finding a calm harbor. You have tried to calm this sea. You have tried to command the waves to be still, to argue with the wind, to fight the storm. But you cannot control the sea of the mind with the mind itself. You need an anchor. The breath is your anchor. And it works for one simple, profound reason. Your breath can only ever exist in the now. You cannot take a breath that is in the past. You cannot exhale into the future. The physical sensation of air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and then gently leaving your body is an event that is rooted unshakably in the present. Therefore, when you place your attention on the sensation of your breathing, you are, by definition, pulling your awareness out of the stormy sea of thought and anchoring it to the bedrock of the now. This is not a metaphor. It is a neurological reality. You are shifting your focus from the chaotic, abstract world of your thinking mind to the simple, tangible world of your feeling body. The anchor does not silence the storm. The winds may still howl, the waves may still crash. But your boat is no longer at their mercy. It is held steady. It is secure. And from that place of stability, you can simply watch the storm without being consumed by it. Of course, the moment you try to do this, you will discover the depth of your mind's addiction to chaos. You will sit down with the simple intention of feeling one full breath, and your mind will rebel. It will stage a mutiny. After 3 seconds of quiet, it will scream, "This is boring. What about that email you need to send? Remember that embarrassing thing you said 10 years ago? You should be worried about your finances." The mind is a creature of habit, and its habit is to think. It believes that its constant chatter is not only important, but essential for your survival. It equates thinking with being, and it sees the simplicity of the breath as a threat to its dominance. This is the inner conflict on the path of release, the battle between the mind's love for complexity and the soul's deep need for simplicity. Your ego will tell you that focusing on your breath is a waste of time, that it is doing nothing. It wants you to stay entangled in its fascinating, dramatic, and exhausting stories. But your deeper wisdom knows the truth. It knows that in the simple act of breathing, you are doing everything. You are coming home. You are finding the quiet center around which all the chaos of your life can gracefully orbit. To truly unlock the power of the anchor, we must add a layer of intention, particularly to the exhalation. The inhale is a receiving. You draw in oxygen, energy, life itself. It is a gift. The exhale, then, can become a conscious act of release. It is a giving back. It is a letting go. As you breathe in, you can acknowledge the life force filling you. As you breathe out, you can consciously release what no longer serves you. This transforms the breath from a passive anchor into an active tool of purification. Right now, feel the tension in your shoulders, the tightness in your neck. Take a slow, deep breath in, and as you breathe out, imagine that tension dissolving, flowing out of you with the air, leaving your body a little lighter. Think of a persistent, looping worry that has been occupying your mind. Breathe in, acknowledging its presence, and as you breathe out, Imagine that worry leaving your mind stream, like smoke carried away on the wind. You do not have to force it. You simply set the intention. Breathe out the need to be right. Breathe out the echo of yesterday's argument. Breathe out the fear of tomorrow's judgment. Each exhalation becomes a small act of liberation. It is a gentle, rhythmic cleansing. With every out-breath, you are creating space. You are emptying the vessel of yourself to make room for peace, for clarity, for the quiet voice of your own intuition to finally be heard. This is not a concept to be understood. It is an experience to be felt. And so, the practice is simple. You will not try to meditate for an hour. You will not seek a transcendent experience. You will give yourself the gift of 5 minutes. Find a place where you can sit comfortably, your back relatively straight. Set a timer, so you do not have to worry about time. Close your eyes. And for these 5 minutes, your only task is to feel the sensation of your own breathing. Feel the coolness of the air as it enters your nostrils. Feel the gentle rise of your chest and belly. Feel the pause at the top of the breath. Feel the warmth of the air as it leaves your body. That is all. Your mind will wander. This is not a failure. It is simply what minds do. It will wander 100 times. Your task is not to stop it from wandering, but to gently, compassionately, and without judgment, notice that it has wandered and guide it back. Each time you guide it back to the breath, you are strengthening a muscle. You are casting a vote for presence over distraction. You are training yourself to use your anchor. That is the entire practice. 5 minutes, one breath at a time. This small sanctuary will become your greatest refuge. It is the training ground for a life of release. It is where you learn, in the most direct way possible, that you are not the storm, you are the sky. And the anchor that connects you to your own vast, peaceful nature is as close as your very next breath. You have found the anchor of the breath, the tool that holds you steady in the storm of your mind. With this anchor, you can begin to navigate the path of release with courage. The next step on this path is not a technique, but a philosophy. It is a new way of moving through the world, a new way of meeting the obstacles that life inevitably places in your path. We must now learn to let go of our rigidity and embrace the profound, paradoxical wisdom of water. Your natural instinct, when faced with a problem, is to become a rock. An obstacle appears a difficult colleague, a financial shortfall, a creative blockhand. Your entire being tenses. Your mind becomes hard and solution-oriented. Your body clenches in a posture of confrontation. You gather your will like a battering ram and you charge. You try to smash through the problem with force, with logic, with sheer stubborn effort. This is the way of the rock, solid, direct, unyielding. Our world celebrates this approach. It praises the one who breaks down walls, who pushes through resistance, who never backs down. We are taught to be strong like a rock, dependable like a rock, immovable like a rock. But what happens when the wall is stronger than you are? What happens when the obstacle is not a thing to be broken but a reality to be navigated? You exhaust yourself. You chip away at your own energy. The rock can be powerful, but it is also brittle. Under enough pressure, it shatters. Now, consider the way of water. Water is the softest, most yielding thing on earth, yet it can overcome the hardest substances. It is the master of letting go. When a river meets a great boulder in its path, it does not declare war. It does not waste its energy in a futile, head-on assault. It feels the unshakable nature of the rock, and it yields. It parts, flowing around both sides, embracing the obstacle and continuing on its journey, its momentum barely diminished. It does not see the boulder as a defeat, but simply as a part of the landscape to be incorporated into its flow. When rain falls upon hard, sun-baked earth, it does not try to crack it open with force. It simply waits. It gathers in pools, and with patient, gentle persistence, it seeps into the ground, softening it from within, giving life to what was once barren. Water has no fixed shape. It becomes whatever container holds it. It does not cling to an identity. It is content to be a vast ocean, a trickling stream, a single drop of dew on a leaf, or invisible vapor in the air. It is the embodiment of adaptability. And in its humility, in its natural tendency to seek the lowest place, it gathers its greatest power. All rivers flow to the sea, and there they become an unstoppable force, able to wear away the mightiest cliffs, not with violence, but with a soft, relentless embrace that lasts for centuries. This presents the inner conflict between force and flow. Your conditioning, your ego, your entire history has taught you to be the rock. The ego wants to win. It wants to prove its strength through victory, in direct confrontation. It sees yielding as losing. It sees adaptability as weakness. It sees softness as cowardice. So when you face a problem, the rock-like part of you rises up and says, "We must fight. We must push harder." But there is another part of you, a deeper, quieter wisdom, that has felt the exhaustion of this fight. It has felt the pain of crashing against unmovable walls. This part of you has watched the river and understood its secret. It whispers, there is another way, a softer way, a way of flow, and so you are torn. You stand before an argument with a loved one, and the rock in you wants to win the point, to prove you are right with the force of your logic. But the water in you knows that winning the argument might mean losing the connection. It suggests yielding, listening, and flowing around the point of contention to embrace the person. You face a career path that is blocked, and the rock in you wants to redouble your efforts, to grind yourself down in a desperate attempt to break through. But the water in you suggests that perhaps this is not a wall to be broken, but a sign to change course, to flow into a new valley of opportunity you had not considered. To choose the way of water is to go against the grain of your own ego and the loud demands of the world. It requires a different kind of strength. This is the central message. The greatest power is found in yielding. Letting go of your rigid approach is not an act of giving up. It is an act of supreme intelligence. It is the wisdom to know when to apply pressure and when to flow around. A martial artist who is a master of flow does not meet an opponent's force with equal force. They yield, they redirect, they use the opponent's own momentum against them. They are powerful, not because they are strong like a rock, but because they are adaptable like water. When you stop resisting, you conserve your precious life energy. You stop wasting it on unwinnable battles. You realign yourself with the natural current of life rather than trying to swim against it. This does not mean you become passive. Water is not passive. A flood is not passive. The tide is not passive. Water is a relentless, powerful force. But its power comes from its nature, from its alignment with gravity and its own properties. It does not struggle against itself. To let go of being the rock is to find this same kind of effortless power. You stop struggling against the reality of the situation and begin to work with it. You become a collaborator with your circumstances rather than an adversary. How do you begin to practice this? How do you cultivate the wisdom of water in a world that demands you be a rock? You begin by asking a different question. The next time you feel yourself tensing up, the next time you feel your will hardening in the face of a problem, the next time you find yourself repeatedly crashing against the same obstacle, I want you to pause. Stop pushing. Take a breath and step back from the struggle in your mind. And then, ask yourself this simple, transformative question. How would water deal with this? Let the question sink in. Let the imagery guide you. Would water try to smash this wall? Or would it patiently seek a crack to seep through? Would water try to argue with this person? Or would it flow around their anger, remaining calm and clear? Would water try to force this creative block? Or would it rest, gathering its energy in a deep, still pool, waiting for inspiration to rain down? Would it go over? Would it go under? Would it wait? Would it soften? This question is a key. It unlocks your mind from the rigid prison of a single, forceful approach and opens it up to 1,000 other possibilities. It shifts your energy from one of aggressive confrontation to one of creative, fluid problem-solving. It is a reminder that there are other forms of strength besides brute force. There is the patient strength of the tide. There is the gentle strength of the rain. There is the adaptable strength of the river. You have all of these within you. Let go of your need to be the rock, and remember the deep, secret power you carry. Remember that you are, in your essence, water. After learning to yield like water, we must now learn to face what water cannot wash away. We must turn toward the most feared and misunderstood force in the human experience. We must speak of pain, and we must learn to see it not as a curse to be avoided, but as a sacred fire with the power to purify, to reshape, and to transform. Your first instinct, when the flames of emotional pain lick at your heart, is to run. A betrayal, a profound loss, a crushing failure. The moment the heat arrives, your entire being recoils. You seek immediate escape. You numb yourself with distraction. You drown the feeling in noise. You try to reason it away with logic, or you blame its existence on someone or something outside of yourself. We have been taught to treat emotional pain as a malfunction, a design flaw in the system of life. We see it as an enemy to be defeated, a sickness to be medicated, a sign that we have done something wrong. This instinct to flee is primal, but in the landscape of the soul, it is a catastrophic mistake. The pain you refuse to feel does not vanish. It burrows deeper. It metastasizes in the darkness of your avoidance, turning the clean, sharp fire of pure pain into the dull, chronic, toxic smoke of suffering. The fire you will not walk through is the fire that will burn your house down. We must reclaim an ancient understanding. We must see that pain is not a punishment, but a process. It is the holy fire of transformation. Consider the blacksmith's forge. A piece of raw, useless iron is thrust into the heart of the furnace. It is heated until it glows, losing all its rigidity, all its former shape. It becomes pliable, vulnerable. Then it is pulled onto the anvil and beaten with a hammer. It is struck again and again, an act of controlled violence. Finally, it is plunged into the cold water, an ordeal of sudden, shocking change. Through this terrible process of fire, pressure, and shock, the useless iron becomes a tempered, resilient, useful blade. Your soul is that piece of iron. Your pain is the sacred forge. Life, as the master blacksmith, is not punishing you. It is shaping you. It is hammering away your impurities, burning off your ego, and tempering you into something strong, beautiful, and true. Consider the great forest fire. From our perspective, it is pure destruction. But from the perspective of the forest, it is a necessary cleansing. The fire sweeps through, burning away the dead undergrowth that chokes out the light. It clears the way for new life. And some seeds, the seeds of the giant sequoia, are sealed with a resin that will only melt and release the life within at the furnace-like temperatures of a forest fire. Some parts of you, your deepest strengths, your most profound wisdom, can only be born in the crucible of your own pain. This truth creates the ultimate inner conflict. It is the battle between the avoider and the alchemist within you. The avoider is the part of you that craves comfort, safety, and a life free from suffering. It is your ego, your personality, the part that built the masks and lives by the world's approval. The avoider will construct an entire life dedicated to dodging the fire. It will choose the safe relationship over the passionate one, the predictable job over the one that calls to the soul, the comfortable lie over the difficult truth. It sees the fire on the horizon, and it runs in the opposite direction, seeking shelter in the shadows of denial and distraction. But there is another part of you, a deeper, older part. This is the alchemist. The alchemist is the intelligence of your soul. It does not seek pain, but it does not fear it. It understands that lead cannot become gold without first passing through the fire. It knows, with an unshakable certainty, that the very challenges you are trying to avoid are the exact ingredients needed for your own transformation. So you stand at the edge of a great and necessary pain. The avoider screams, "Run! Save yourself! This will destroy you!" But the alchemist whispers, "Stay, be still. This will remake you." The choice between these two voices is the most important choice you will ever make. It is the choice between a life of comfortable stagnation and a life of meaningful, fiery growth. So what is it that the fire truly burns? This is the secret that the avoider can never understand. The fire of pain does not burn you. It burns what is not you. When you are thrust into the forge of heartbreak, what burns away is not your capacity to love, but your naive attachments and your childish expectations of what love should be. When you are in the fire of failure, what burns away is not your intrinsic worth, but your ego's arrogance and its desperate need to be seen as perfect. When you are in the fire of grief, what burns away is your illusion of control, your mistaken belief that the things you love are permanent possessions. The fire is a great clarifier. It burns away the trivialities. It incinerates your masks, your pretenses, your carefully constructed identities. It burns away your flimsy excuses and your cherished illusions. It leaves you naked, raw, and utterly authentic. In the heart of the fire, all that is left is what is essential. All that is left is the unbreakable, untarnishable essence of your own being. To let go, in this context, is to willingly offer your impurities to the flame. It is to say, "Take my arrogance, take my fear, take my attachments, burn them all away, and leave me with what is real." This is not a philosophy to be admired from a distance. It is a practice to be lived in the heart of your own experience. So I offer you an invitation, a radical experiment. The next time the flames of deep emotional pain begin to rise within you, sadness, grief, anger, despair, your instinct, your lifelong training will be to run, to pick up your phone, to turn on the television, to call a friend and complain, to do anything to get away from the heat. I invite you, for just 2 minutes, to do the opposite, to stay. Find a place to sit down. Close your eyes. You are not going to analyze the pain. You will not indulge in the story of why you feel it or who is to blame. That is just adding more fuel of thought to the fire. Instead, you are going to become a scientist of your own inner world. Ask yourself, where is this fire in my body? Locate it. Is it a burning tightness in your chest? A cold, hollow ache in your stomach? A lump of heat in your throat? Your only job for these 2 minutes is to observe this raw, physical sensation. Be with it. Breathe into it. Do not label it sadness or anger. Just feel it as pure energy. Heat, pressure, vibration. By doing this, you are seeding a space between you, the observer, and the sensation you are observing. You are no longer lost in the fire. You are the alchemist, watching the fire and allowing it to do its sacred work. This is the ultimate act of letting go. It is the surrender of your resistance. It is the courageous choice to stand still in the forge and allow yourself to be transformed. We have spoken of the anchor, the water, and the fire. These are the tools and the philosophies of release. But where does this sacred work take place? Where is the ground upon which you can practice this art of letting go? There is only one place, and it is the place you have spent most of your life trying to escape. The work can only be done here, on the holy ground of the present moment. You are the rightful ruler of a vast and beautiful kingdom, the kingdom of the now. Yet you live as a willing exile. You have abdicated your throne in favor of wandering through 2 barren and lifeless ghostlands, the past and the future. We flee the present moment for many reasons. Sometimes it feels mundane. The mind, addicted to the drama of regret and the stimulation of anxiety, finds the simple reality of the now to be unbearably boring. It would rather endlessly analyze a past mistake or fantasize about a future triumph than simply feel the sensation of breath in the lungs or the warmth of tea in a cup. At other times, we flee the present because it feels too real. not too threatening. The now is where we must face our actual circumstances, our true feelings, our unvarnished reality. And so we retreat into the controllable illusions of memory and imagination, where we can be the hero, the victim, or the dreamer, anywhere but here. These ghostlands have a powerful hypnotic pull. The past is a realm of ruins and museums. We wander its landscape, sifting through the rubble of old failures or polishing the statues of past glories. We become archaeologists of our own history, believing that if we just dig a little deeper, we can change what happened, or that if we stare long enough at a happy memory, we can somehow re-enter it. The future is a land of mist and mirages. It is a canvas upon which we project our greatest hopes and our most terrifying fears. We spend our days building castles of fantasy or digging trenches in preparation for imagined wars. We chase shimmering oases of happiness that always seem to be just over the next hill, after the next achievement, beyond the next relationship. The price of living in these ghostlands is your life itself. When you are dwelling in the past or the future, you become a phantom. Your body is here, but your mind, your awareness, your life force is elsewhere. You are not truly living. You are either remembering a life that is over or rehearsing a life that has not yet begun. You are a ghost haunting the hallways of your own existence. This creates the fundamental conflict between the time traveler and the inhabitant. The time traveler is your restless mind, your ego. It is addicted to destination. It believes that peace and happiness are not here, but there. They are waiting for you at the end of a long and difficult journey. The present moment, to the time traveler, is merely a stepping stone, a means to an end, an inconvenient stretch of road that must be endured to get to the real destination. The time traveler is always impatient, always dissatisfied with what is, because it is obsessed with what could be, or what was. But the inhabitant is your body, your soul, your deeper consciousness. The inhabitant knows a profound and simple truth. It can only live here. Your heart is not beating in yesterday. Your lungs are not breathing in tomorrow. Every sensation, every sight, every sound, every real experience happens now. The inhabitant is constantly sending you messages from the present moment, postcards from reality. It sends you the feeling of tightness in your chest, the beauty of a sunset, the intuitive pull toward one path over another. But the time traveler is too busy consulting its map of the future or its logbook of the past to notice. You feel fractured, disconnected, and not all there because you are living in a state of civil war, with your mind in one dimension of time and your body in another. The Great Awakening, the core of all spiritual practice, is the realization that the time traveler has been lying to you. There is no destination. The journey is not a line from A to B. Life is a point, an eternal point, and that point is now. The present moment is not a bridge to be crossed. It is the holy ground to be inhabited. It is the destination itself. It is the altar. This is the central message. You must stop treating the present moment as a waiting room and start treating it as a sanctuary. An altar is a sacred space where you make an offering. To treat the now as an altar means you bring the most precious thing you have, your full, undivided, reverent attention, and you offer it to whatever the moment contains. If the moment contains joy, you offer your awareness to that joy, feeling it fully without clinging to it. If the moment contains boredom, you offer your awareness to that boredom, exploring its texture without seeking escape. If the moment contains pain, as we have discussed, you offer your awareness to that pain, meeting it with courage and stillness. You stop judging the moment as good or bad and start seeing it as holy, simply because it is. It is the place where you meet life. It is the only place. Letting go, therefore, is the act of renouncing your citizenship in the ghostlands of past and future and claiming your rightful place as the ruler of the kingdom of now. It is the act of finally coming home. How do you practice this homecoming? How do you train the time traveler to become the inhabitant? You do it by practicing the art of arrival. It is a simple, grounding exercise that you can do anywhere, at any time. Throughout your day, I invite you to pause. For just 1 minute, stop everything. Stop the typing, the walking, the planning, the worrying. Stop and come home to your senses. Ask yourself gently, what are 5 things I can see right now? Look around you as if you are seeing the world for the first time. Notice the play of light on a surface, the color of a leaf, the shape of a crack in the pavement. Acknowledge them. Then ask, what are 4 things I can feel right now? Feel the pressure of the chair against your back, the texture of the fabric of your clothes, the temperature of the air on your skin, the solid ground beneath your feet. Then, what are 3 things I can hear? Listen beyond the obvious sounds. Hear the distant hum of traffic, the whisper of the wind, the sound of your own breathing. What are 2 things I can smell? Notice the faint scent of coffee, or rain, or dust. And finally, what is 1 thing I can taste? Is there a lingering taste of toothpaste or tea? This simple practice is an emergency brake for the time-traveling mind. It yanks your awareness out of the abstract realm of thought and anchors it in the undeniable, tangible reality of your senses. It is the act of kneeling at the altar. Each time you do it, you are strengthening your connection to the now. You are declaring that this moment, this breath, this life, right here, is enough. It is more than enough. It is everything. You have learned to anchor yourself in the present moment, the only ground where true peace can be found. But as you stand on this sacred ground, you may notice that you are not alone. You may find you have brought with you a host of uninvited guests, the ghosts of those who have wronged you. You are tethered to them by one of the heaviest and most toxic chains of all, the chain of unforgiveness. To hold on to anger, resentment, and the need for revenge is the spiritual equivalent of grasping a burning coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You wait for the perfect moment to hurl it, but all the while it is your own hand that is being seared, your own flesh that is being scarred. The person who hurt you may be miles away, living their life, perhaps having forgotten the event entirely. But you, in your refusal to forgive, are choosing to relive the injury every single day. You are the one who faithfully reopens the wound, who diligently keeps the pain fresh. You have become the curator of your own suffering, and the person who wronged you is the centerpiece of your collection. Why do we do this? Why do we cling so tightly to the very thing that poisons us? We do it because the ego, in its role as your fierce protector, constructs a powerful case for unforgiveness. The ego is a master prosecutor. It stands before the jury of your own mind and presents the evidence again and again. It plays back the tape of the betrayal. It shows you the photographs of the disrespect. It reads from the transcript of the cruel words. Its closing argument is always the same. To forgive, it thunders, is to say that what they did was acceptable. It is to let them get away with it. It is to declare them innocent. It is to be a fool, a doormat, a weakling who invites further injury. Justice must be served. An apology must be extracted. A debt must be paid. The ego convinces you that your anger is a shield, that your resentment is a fortress that will protect you from being hurt again. It frames forgiveness not as freedom, but as a dangerous and naive surrender. It insists that holding on to the hot coal is an act of power, a sign that you have not forgotten, that you will not be defeated. This creates a terrible inner conflict between the prosecutor and the prisoner. The prosecutor, your ego, feels righteous and strong, endlessly preparing its case against the defendant. But who is the one living in a cell? You are. You are the prisoner. By refusing to forgive, you have chained yourself to the person who harmed you. You are shackled together in an inseparable, toxic embrace. Everywhere you go, you must drag them with you. They sit down with you at your dinner table. They lie in bed with you at night. They occupy vast, expensive real estate in the precious landscape of your mind, and they do not pay a single cent of rent. The prosecutor in you screams for justice, but the prisoner in you, your soul, simply yearns for freedom. Your soul does not care about being right, it cares about being at peace. It rattles the bars of its cell, begging to be released from the exhausting burden of hatred. It knows that the price of remaining right is its own vitality. It feels the life force draining away, siphoned off to fuel the endless, bitter fires of resentment. This is the conflict. The ego's desperate need to win a case that can never be won in a court that does not exist, versus the soul's simple, profound desire to walk out of the courtroom and into the sunshine. Here we arrive at the liberating, transformative core of this teaching. Here is the key that unlocks the door to your own cell. Forgiveness has almost nothing to do with the other person. It is not a gift you give to them. It is a profound act of self-love, a gift of grace you bestow upon yourself. To forgive is not to say, what you did was okay. It is to say, what you did will no longer have the power to control my life, to poison my present moment, to consume my energy. To forgive is not to forget what happened. It is to choose to no longer be defined by what happened. You remember the lesson, but you release the emotional charge. You let go of the story that you are a victim. Forgiveness is not about reconciliation. You do not have to see the person, speak to them, or allow them back into your life. Forgiveness is a silent, internal transaction. It is the act of officially canceling a debt that you have been trying to collect, a debt that the other person was never going to pay. You finally realize that the demand for payment is what keeps you in poverty. You drop the hot coal not because they deserve it, but because you deserve to have your hand back. You unlock the chain, not to set them free, but to set yourself free. Forgiveness is the ultimate declaration of your own sovereignty. It is you, looking at the past and saying, "You no longer have any power over me. I am taking my life back." This work is not easy. It is among the hardest spiritual work you will ever do. It cannot be forced. It must be approached with immense patience and compassion for yourself. The practice begins not with them, but with you. It begins with forgiving yourself for carrying the burden for so long. Find a quiet moment. Sit with yourself and acknowledge the pain you have been in. Say to your own heart, "I forgive myself for holding on to this poison. I was doing the best I could to protect myself." Feel the grace of that self-compassion. Then, when you are ready, bring the image of the person who harmed you into your mind. Do not focus on the event. Just see them as a person, flawed and likely in their own pain. You do not have to wish them well. You do not have to send them love. The practice is simpler. In your mind's eye, see the chain that connects you to them. See the hot coal in your hand. And with a clear, firm intention, visualize yourself opening your hand and letting the coal drop to the ground. Visualize yourself taking a key, placing it in the shackle around your own ankle, and turning it. Feel the weight lift as the chain falls away. You are not doing anything for them. You are doing this for you. And then offer a simple wish, a simple prayer, not for them, but for yourself. May I be free from this burden. May I be at peace. Repeat it like a mantra. This is your declaration of independence. This is the sound of your own liberation. We arrive now at a word that lies at the very heart of letting go, a word that is deeply misunderstood and often feared. The word is surrender. For many of us, this word tastes of defeat. It conjures images of a white flag waving over a battlefield, of giving in, of admitting weakness. It feels like the opposite of strength. Because of this, we must begin by drawing a sharp, clear line in the sand. Surrender is not resignation. Resignation is its weak and hopeless cousin. Resignation is the sigh of the victim. It says, "There is nothing I can do. Life is against me. I give up." It is a collapse into despair, a passive state born of powerlessness. Surrender, on the other hand, is an act of profound strength, wisdom, and courage. It is an active and conscious choice. Surrender does not say, "I can't do anything." It says, "I will no longer do what is not working. I will no longer waste my precious life force fighting against reality." Resignation is closing your eyes, and accepting darkness. Surrender is opening your eyes to see what is truly there, so that you may navigate it with grace and intelligence. What then are we surrendering to? We are not surrendering to another person. We are not surrendering to failure. We are surrendering to the isness of life. We are ending our war against what is. Look at your own life. Where is your energy truly being spent? Most of our exhaustion, our anxiety, our suffering does not come from our problems themselves, but from our violent resistance to the fact that we have them. The reality is that a relationship has ended. The suffering comes from the endless mental war we wage against that reality. The fight to change the past, to understand every nuance, to assign blame. The reality is that you are facing a health issue. The suffering comes from the resistance, the cry of why me, the battle against the truth of your own body. We live in a state of perpetual argument with life. Life presents a circumstance, and our ego immediately declares, this should not be happening. And in that declaration, the war begins. We become soldiers on a battlefield of our own making, and the enemy is reality itself. This is a war that can never, ever be won. You can no more win a war against what is than you can win a war against gravity or the rising of the sun. Your resistance does not change the reality. It only exhausts you and deepens your pain. This creates the inner conflict between the soldier and the sailor. The soldier is the part of your ego that has been trained for battle. It believes that life is a series of enemy positions to be conquered. It sees every problem as a foe, every setback as an attack. The soldier's code is one of relentless opposition. Never give an inch, fight to the last breath, go down swinging. To the soldier, surrender is the ultimate disgrace. It equates strength with rigidity and honor with struggle. But there is a wiser part of you, the sailor. The sailor does not see life as a battlefield, but as a vast and powerful ocean. The sailor knows that the wind of reality will blow where it will, and that to fight the wind is not brave, it is foolish. The sailor does not try to command the ocean. Instead, the sailor cultivates a deep respect for it. They learn to read the currents, to feel the direction of the wind, and then, with great skill, they adjust their sails. They do not fight the forces of nature. They align with them, using their immense power to guide their vessel toward their chosen destination. The sailor knows that true mastery is not found in opposition, but in intelligent, responsive cooperation. The soldier in you is screaming to charge headfirst into the storm. The sailor in you is calmly advising you to adjust your sails and ride the waves. The essence of surrender can be found in this simple image, a tug of war. You are on one side of the rope, and on the other side is reality, or a problem, or another person you are trying to change. You are pulling with all your might. Your muscles are burning, your hands are raw, your heels are dug into the mud. You are consumed by the struggle. Your entire focus narrowed to the single desperate goal of pulling the other side over to your position. You believe that your identity, your victory, your very worth depends on winning this fight. Now, what happens if, in a moment of profound insight, you simply let go of the rope? The struggle instantly vanishes. The tension is gone. The war is over. Have you lost? Number? You have simply refused to continue playing a painful and pointless game. This is the act of surrender. It is not being defeated by the other side. It is the unilateral decision to end the war. And what happens in the moment after you drop the rope? For the first time, you can stand up straight. You can breathe. You can look around. You can reclaim all of the energy you were pouring into the struggle. And from this new place of stillness and clarity, you can see other options that were invisible to you before. Perhaps you don't need to be on this field at all. Perhaps there is a different path around the obstacle entirely. Surrender is not the end of action. It is the end of blind, resistant, ego-driven struggle. It is the essential first step toward taking clear, intelligent, and truly powerful action. So, I invite you to conduct an experiment in your own life. Identify one area where you are currently engaged in a tug of war. Is there a situation you are desperately resisting? A person you are trying to force to change? a past event you are still fighting in your head. Choose just one, and for the next 24 hours, declare a ceasefire. Decide that for this one day you will completely surrender. You will drop the rope. This does not mean you approve of the situation or that you will tolerate it forever. It is simply an experiment in non-resistance. For 24 hours, you will fully accept the reality of the situation as it is. You will not complain about it. You will not try to fix it. You will not mentally relitigate it. You will simply allow it to be, without pouring any more of your energy into fighting it. Observe what happens. Pay attention to the shift inside of you. Notice the vast reserves of energy that become available when you are no longer pulling on the rope. Notice how your perspective might change when you are no longer consumed by the heat of the battle. This practice is not about giving up on your life. It is about giving up the unwinnable war against reality, so that you can finally start living. It is discovering the immense, quiet power that is only found when you have the strength to surrender. You have learned to surrender the fight, to drop the rope of resistance, and to cease your war with reality. This act of surrender brings a profound peace. But it is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of true, effective action. For before you can act with wisdom, you must first learn to see with clarity. And to see with clarity, you must cultivate the power of stillness. Your mind, for most of your life, has been like a body of water in a storm. The winds of your thoughts, the pebbles of daily anxieties, the downpour of other people's opinions, they all conspire to keep the surface of your awareness in a state of constant agitation. Now, look into this turbulent water. What do you see reflected there? You do not see the sky. You do not see the trees on the shore. You see a distorted, fractured, and chaotic mockery of reality. You mistake the ripples of your own fear for the shape of the world. You see the churning of your own anger and believe you are looking at an enemy. When you make decisions based on this distorted reflection, you are navigating by a broken compass. You react to phantoms, you fight with shadows, and you wonder why your life feels so full of struggle and confusion. You have been trying to find your way through the world by looking into a shattered mirror. Why is your inner lake so rarely calm? It is a combination of our cultural conditioning and our own deep-seated fear. The modern world worships motion. Busyness is seen as a virtue, a sign of importance. A full calendar is a badge of honor. To be still is to be lazy, unproductive, irrelevant. We are taught from a young age that the answer to every problem is more effort, more thinking, more doing. We have forgotten the wisdom of strategic inaction. Internally, we conspire with this cultural pressure. We use busyness and noise as a sophisticated anesthetic. We keep ourselves in constant motion so that we do not have to feel what is waiting for us in the quiet. We fear that if we allow the water to become still, we will see what lurks in the depths: our loneliness, our grief, our insecurities. We keep stirring the mud to cloud the water, terrified of seeing our own reflection too clearly. And so we live in a state of perpetual, self-imposed agitation, running from the very stillness that holds the key to our peace and our power. This creates the inner conflict between the doer and the seer. The doer is the part of you that is conditioned by the world. It is the manager, the problem solver, the fixer. The doer's mantra is, "Don't just sit there, do something." It believes that clarity is a product of intense mental effort, of analyzing every angle, of wrestling a problem into submission. When faced with uncertainty, the doer goes into overdrive, its frantic activity only stirring the waters of the mind further. But there is another faculty within you, a quieter, more ancient intelligence. This is the seer. The seer knows a truth that is antithetical to the modern world. It knows that true clarity is not born from more doing, but from less. It knows that the most profound insights arise not in the midst of frantic action, but in the pregnant pause that precedes it. The seer's mantra is the opposite of the doer's. It is, "Don't just do something. Sit there. This is the conflict that plays out in your life every day. You face a difficult decision, and the doer in you immediately starts making lists, calling people, and churning with anxiety. The seer, however, gently invites you to step back, to take a walk in nature, to sleep on it, to allow the waters to calm. Your life up to this point has likely been a series of reactions born from the disturbed water of the doer. A true life of wisdom is a series of responses, born from the still mirror of the seer. The core message is this: stillness is not emptiness, it is not a void. Stillness is the prerequisite for clear perception. It is the conscious act of allowing the sediment of your agitated thoughts and emotions to settle. When you cease the frantic stirring, the mud of your fears and prejudices sinks to the bottom. The waves of your reactivity subside, and then the surface of your mind becomes like a flawless mirror. In this mirror of stillness, two things are reflected with perfect, breathtaking clarity. First, you see the external situation as it is, not as you fear it to be. You see the path forward, or you see the truth that there is no path forward in that direction. You see the other person's behavior without the distorting lens of your own projections. But the second reflection is even more profound. In the still mirror, you finally see yourself. You see your own true motivations, stripped of your rationalizations. You see your recurring patterns of behavior. You see the deep, authentic feelings beneath the surface-level emotions. In the silence, you can no longer lie to yourself. The mirror reflects your truth with unwavering honesty. This is why we fear stillness, and this is why it is so powerful. It is the ultimate tool for self-awareness. How do you cultivate this power in a world that conspires against it? You begin with the practice of the sacred pause. This is the art of consciously creating a space between an external trigger and your internal reaction. It is the most practical and life-altering form of meditation. The next time something happens that triggers you, an upsetting email arrives in your inbox, someone makes a critical comment, you feel a sudden surge of anger or fear, I invite you to make a sacred vow to yourself. You will not react immediately. Not for 5 minutes. You will not type the angry reply. You will not utter the sharp retort. You will not spiral down the rabbit hole of anxious thoughts. Instead, you will pause. You will create a pocket of stillness in the storm. Step away from the computer, leave the room, or simply close your eyes at your desk. And for a few moments, your only job is to breathe. Take 10 deep, slow breaths. Feel your feet on the floor. Feel the air on your skin. Intentionally, deliberately, you are allowing the waters of your mind to settle. You are giving the mirror a chance to clear. After this pause, this sacred space you have created for yourself, you can then choose how to respond. And you will find that your response, born from the quiet clarity of the still mirror, will be infinitely wiser, more compassionate, and more effective than the knee-jerk reaction that would have come from the storm. The sacred pause is where you stop being a victim of your life and start becoming the conscious creator of it. It is the space where wisdom is born. You have learned to find stillness in the mirror of your mind, to see reality with newfound clarity. Now, we must use that clarity to face one of the most fundamental and frightening truths of existence, the truth that powers the winds of change and melts all our certainties. We must learn to let go of our desperate need for permanence and learn, instead, to dance with the beautiful, terrifying rhythm of uncertainty. We spend our lives like architects attempting to build a magnificent, permanent stone fortress on the surface of a frozen river. We mistake the temporary solidity of the ice for solid ground. We draw up meticulous 5-year plans, we build rigid identities, we construct dogmatic belief systems, all in a desperate attempt to create a feeling of safety and predictability. We want to know what is coming. We want to be prepared. We want to build walls that are high enough to keep out the chaos of the unknown. But all the while, deep beneath the surface of our carefully constructed lives, we can feel a subtle vibration. We can hear the faint, ominous cracking of the ice. We know, in the part of ourselves we refuse to listen to, that the seasons are turning, the thaw is coming, and our fear of uncertainty, our terror of the unknown, is simply our fear of the inevitable spring. This deep fear of impermanence drives us to wage a silent, constant war against the thaw. We try to fight the fundamental nature of the universe. We cling. We cling to relationships that have run their course, trying to preserve the memory of what they once were, refusing to accept the reality of what they have become. We cling to jobs that drain our souls, simply because the familiarity of the misery feels safer than the uncertainty of a new path. We cling to old beliefs, defending them with aggression, because to question them would be to admit that the ground beneath our feet is not as solid as we thought. We try to freeze time. We take a photograph of a perfect moment and then spend our lives trying to crawl back into it, lamenting that things are not as they once were. We treat life as if it were a static object to be possessed and preserved, when its true nature is that of a flowing, unstoppable river. Your resistance to change does not stop the river from flowing. It only prevents you from flowing with it, leaving you stranded on the bank, watching your own life disappear downstream. This gives rise to the inner conflict between the architect and the dancer. The architect is the part of your ego that is obsessed with control and certainty. It wants to build the fortress on the ice. It needs blueprints, maps, and guarantees. It believes that a successful life is one that is perfectly planned and executed, a life with no surprises, no deviations from the script. The architect stands on the sidelines of life, calculating risks, analyzing possibilities, and is ultimately paralyzed by the infinite number of variables it cannot control. It is so busy trying to design the perfect dance floor that it never actually hears the music. But there is a deeper part of you, your soul, your life essence. This is the dancer. The dancer is not interested in blueprints. It is interested in the music. It knows that life is not a building to be constructed, but a song to be experienced. The purpose of a dance is not to arrive at a specific spot on the floor. The purpose of the dance is the dance itself, the movement, the rhythm, the connection, the joy of improvisation. The dancer does not fear a change in the music's tempo. It delights in it. It adapts. It finds freedom in not knowing what comes next. The architect in you wants to control the song. The dancer in you wants to become the song. And so you are torn between the rigid safety of the fortress and the flowing freedom of the dance. The core message, the invitation that can change everything, is to let go of the blueprints and begin to listen to the music. You must understand that your attempt to create permanence in an impermanent world is the very source of your anxiety. To fight against change is to fight against your own heartbeat, against the rising and setting of the sun, against the very pulse of creation. It is a fight you can only lose. The only sane and joyful way to live is to surrender to the flow. This does not mean you become a passive victim of circumstance. A great dancer is not passive. A great dancer is a master of responsive action, of balance, of strength and grace. To dance with uncertainty means you stop seeking your security in the solidity of the ground beneath you, and you start finding your security in your own ability to dance. You find it in your resilience, your adaptability, your creativity, your trust in your own feet to find the next step. You let go of the need for a map, and you start to cultivate your inner sense of rhythm. This is the ultimate letting go. It is the release of the need to know and the embrace of the freedom to discover. You stop being a prisoner of your own plans, and you become a partner with infinite possibility. How do you begin to learn the steps to this dance? You start by becoming a humble student of impermanence. Let nature be your teacher, for it is the greatest dancer of all. Your practice is to simply observe the dance around you. Find a few moments in your day to go outside and lie on your back. Watch the clouds. Do not try to hold on to any single shape. Simply witness them as they form, drift, morph into new figures, and eventually dissolve into the vastness of the blue sky. They are a perfect sermon on letting go. Look at a flower in your garden. Observe its entire life cycle, the tight bud, the glorious full bloom, and the graceful wilting as it releases its petals back to the earth. It does not cling to its moment of peak beauty. It fulfills its nature and lets go. Watch the tide come in and go out. Watch the sun rise and inevitably set. Everything in the universe is in a constant state of flux. Nothing is permanent, nothing is fixed. By immersing yourself in this truth, by seeing it not as a threat but as the beautiful rhythmic pulse of life itself, your fear begins to soften. It is replaced by a sense of wonder and a sense of belonging. You are not a rock fighting against the river. You are a part of the river. You are not separate from the dance. You are the dance. So take a breath. Let your shoulders relax. Can you hear the music? It has been playing all along. You are learning to dance with the great, flowing rhythm of uncertainty. You are beginning to feel secure, not in the solidity of the ground, but in your own ability to move with grace. This leads us to a new, more subtle, and profoundly liberating form of letting go. We must now release our attachment to the results of our own actions. We must learn the sacred art of planting seeds without demanding a harvest. Most of us move through the world with a transactional heart. We operate like merchants in the great marketplace of life, and our guiding principle is that of exchange. We give, but we expect to receive. We invest our energy, but only with the expectation of a specific return. We are kind to others, so that they will be kind to us. We work diligently with the explicit demand for a promotion or recognition. We love another person with the silent, or sometimes spoken, condition that they must love us back in a way that meets our needs. This transactional mindset is not necessarily born of malice. It is a deeply ingrained strategy for navigating the world and ensuring our own needs are met. But it reduces the sacredness of our lives to a cold and anxious accounting. And it is a guaranteed path to disappointment, because the universe does not operate on our tidy ledgers of expectation. This attachment to the fruits of our labor is a subtle poison that taints our every action. When your focus is on the future reward, it cannot be fully on the present action. Your energy is divided. You cannot find joy in the process of the work itself because you are consumed by anxiety about the outcome. Will I get the promotion? Will they thank me? Will my efforts be noticed? This anxiety corrupts the act. The work, which could have been a form of meditation, becomes a source of stress. The gift, which could have been an expression of pure generosity, becomes a hook. The love, which could have been a free and beautiful offering, becomes a cage of expectation. And then, when the world, in its unpredictable wisdom, does not deliver the exact outcome we demanded, we are filled with bitterness. We feel cheated. We feel the world is unjust. The kindness we offered turns to resentment. The hard work we performed turns to a sense of futility. The love we gave curdles into pain. We blame the soil for not producing the crop we wanted, never realizing that the problem was in the way we planted the seed with a clenched fist of demand rather than an open palm of offering. This is the inner conflict between the merchant and the gardener. The merchant is the calculating part of your ego. It lives by the ledger. Before any action, it asks, what is the return on this investment? What's in it for me? It is strategic, efficient, and constantly measuring its profit and loss in the currency of money, approval, and security. The merchant is terrified of wasted effort. It cannot comprehend the value of an action that does not produce a direct, predictable, and positive result for the self. But there is another way of being, another intelligence within you. This is the gardener. The gardener does not keep a ledger. The gardener's joy is not found in the harvest, but in the act of gardening itself. The gardener loves the feel of the cool, dark soil. They love the careful, meditative process of placing each seed in the earth. They love the ritual of watering, of tending, of caring for what they have planted. The gardener understands a profound truth. Their job is simply to sow the seed with as much love, presence, and skill as they possess. The harvest is not, and has never been, in their control. The harvest depends on the quality of the soil, the amount of rainfall, the warmth of the sun, the presence of pests, and 1,000 other mysterious variables that make up the web of life. The gardener's work is to act with integrity. The universe's work is to provide the result. The core message, a timeless piece of wisdom found at the heart of many spiritual traditions, is this: you have a right to your actions, but you have no right to the fruits of your actions. Let this sink into your being. It is not a call to inaction, it is a call to pure action. It is a path to liberation. When you release your desperate grip on the outcome, you are finally free. You are free to act with excellence for the sake of excellence itself. You are free to love for the joy of loving. You are free to create for the bliss of creating. Your actions are no longer contaminated by the anxiety of will this work, or the greed of what will I get in return. You can pour your entire being into the present moment, into the task at hand, because the task itself has become the reward. This is how you find peace in a world you cannot control. You shift your focus from the uncontrollable, the outcome, to the one and only thing you can ever truly control: the intention and quality of your own actions, right here, right now. You stop trying to manipulate the future and instead dedicate yourself to acting with beauty and integrity in the present. This is the ultimate surrender of the ego's desire for control. It is the alignment of your will with the will of the universe. You do your small, sacred part, and you trust the great mystery to do its part. How do you begin to cultivate the heart of the gardener? You practice by planting secret seeds. Your task is to find one opportunity this week to perform a small, helpful, or kind action with absolutely no possibility of being discovered or thanked. It must be anonymous. This is not for praise, it is for training. You might pay the coffee for the person behind you in a drive-through and then drive away before they can see you. You might find a book you love, write an inspiring note inside, and leave it on a park bench for a stranger to find. You might pick up a piece of trash in your neighborhood when no one is watching. You might write an anonymous letter to someone, thanking them for the positive impact they have had on your life. The act can be small. The only rule is that your ego can get no credit for it. There is no social media post, no story told to a friend. The action lives and dies in the sacred privacy between you and the universe. Pay attention to how this feels. There may be a part of you that craves the recognition, but beneath that, you may feel a new kind of joy, a clean, quiet, and deeply satisfying joy that comes from pure, unadorned giving. This is the joy of the gardener. This is the peace that comes from planting seeds without demanding a harvest. We have journeyed through the great, expansive acts of letting go, releasing our grip on the past, the future, and the very outcomes of our actions. Now, we must bring this practice into the most intimate and challenging of arenas, our relationships with others. We must learn the art of releasing the immense burden of other people's expectations. We must learn the power, the grace, and the deep self-respect that is found in the unburdening of the word no. For many of us, yes is a habit. It is our default setting. A request is made of our time, our energy, our resources, and the word yes leaves our lips before we have even had a chance to consult with ourselves. Each of these automatic, inauthentic affirmations is another stone placed in a sack that we carry on our back. With every yes spoken when our heart meant no, the sack grows heavier. Soon, we find ourselves bent over, struggling to walk a path that is not our own, carrying the weight of 1,000 obligations we resent, living a schedule that reflects everyone's priorities but our own. Our life ceases to be a vessel for our own purpose and becomes a leaky container for the demands and desires of others. We feel drained, spread too thin, and a quiet bitterness begins to take root in our soul. Why do we do this? Why do we so willingly betray our own needs in service of others' wants? We must look with courage at the fear behind the smile. We say yes because we are terrified of the consequences of saying no. We fear conflict. We fear disappointing people. We fear being seen as selfish, as unhelpful, as not a team player. We fear that our no will be interpreted as a personal rejection. But if you follow these fears down to their deepest root, you will find the great primal fear of abandonment. On a subconscious level, we have come to believe that our agreeableness is the price of admission for love and belonging. We believe our worth is tied to our usefulness. We think, if I am helpful, if I am accommodating, if I never cause any friction, then they will need me, then they will keep me around, then I will be safe. And so our yes becomes a desperate strategy for survival, a plea to be liked, to be valued, to be kept. We sacrifice our own integrity on the altar of other people's approval, not realizing that the connection we are preserving is often not with the other person, but with their idealized image of us as someone who will never let them down. This creates a painful inner conflict between the people pleaser and the protector. The people pleaser is the part of your personality that acts as a diplomat in every situation. Its primary objective is to maintain external harmony at all costs. It is terrified of ripples, of friction, of anyone's displeasure. It will apologize for things that are not its fault. It will laugh at jokes that are not funny. It will agree to tasks that will push it to the breaking point. The people pleaser constantly scans the faces of others, trying to manage their emotions and perceptions. It lives in a state of high alert, and it is utterly exhausting. But there is another voice, a deeper and more powerful one. This is the protector. The protector is the guardian of your life force. It is the wisdom of your own soul that knows your time, your energy, and your attention are the most precious, finite resources you have. The protector knows that in order to give a powerful, authentic, and joyful yes to your true calling, you must be able to deliver a clean, clear, and compassionate no to everything else. The protector understands that your life is a sacred garden. A garden without a fence will be trampled, its delicate shoots consumed by the demands of the world. A fence is not an act of aggression. It is a necessary act of love for the precious life that is growing within. The people pleaser wants to leave the gate wide open. The protector knows you must learn how to close it. The core message that will unburden you is this: you must reframe the word no. It is not a weapon of rejection, it is a tool of clarification. It is not an act of selfishness. It is the highest form of self-respect, and it is a gift to others, for it allows them to know where they truly stand with you. Most importantly, every no you speak to something that is not aligned with your spirit is a powerful, resounding yes to yourself. A no to working late on a project you don't care about is a yes to having dinner with your family. A no to a social gathering that will drain you is a yes to the quiet, restorative evening your soul is craving. A no to listening to gossip is a yes to the integrity of your own mind. A no to taking on a friend's emotional drama is a yes to preserving your own sanity. A boundary is the sacred circle you draw around yourself, not to shut the world out, but to create a space where your own life can flourish. Letting go, in this context, is the release of the false and arrogant belief that you are responsible for the happiness of everyone around you. You are not. You are responsible for your own happiness and for offering your best, most authentic, and most energized self to the world. And that self can only exist when it is not perpetually drained by the weight of 1,000 reluctant yeses. You do not have to begin this practice with a defiant roar. You can begin with the quiet construction of a gentle fence. Your task is not to become a fortress overnight, but to learn the simple, powerful art of the compassionate boundary. Start small. Find one low-stakes request this week, an opportunity to practice. Instead of your habitual, instant yes, try creating a pause. You can say, "Thank you for asking. Let me check my calendar and get back to you." This simple phrase is a revolution. It creates a space between the request and your response, a space where you can consult your own inner truth instead of reacting from fear. In that space, you can ask yourself, do I truly have the time and energy for this? Does this align with my priorities? Am I saying yes out of desire or out of obligation? If the answer is no, you can practice a gentle refusal. I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm not able to take that on right now. Notice, you do not need to offer a long, elaborate justification. You do not need to apologize for your own capacity. Your boundary is its own reason. No is a complete sentence. Each time you do this, you are building a muscle of self-respect. You are teaching yourself and the world that your time is valuable, that your energy is sacred, and that your life belongs to you. This is the unburdening. This is the quiet joy of reclaiming your own name. We are now entering a new landscape on our journey of letting go. We have learned the practices of release, how to drop the rope of resistance, how to surrender to the flow of reality. Now, we begin to explore the state of being that emerges from that release. We begin to discover what it is like to live not from a place of struggle, but from a place of grace. And the foundation of this new way of living is the discovery of the vast, silent, and indestructible sanctuary within you. It begins with confronting the most fundamental illusion we live under, the illusion of who we think we are. From moment to moment, you mistake the weather for the sky. A thought of worry drifts into your mind, and you instantly say, I am worried. A feeling of sadness washes over you, and you declare, I am sad. A surge of anger flashes through you, and your entire identity collapses into that single fiery point, I am angry. We do this so automatically, so unconsciously, that we don't even recognize it as a choice. We fuse our entire sense of being with the fleeting, transient phenomena of our own minds. We become the cloud, and when you are lost inside a dark storm cloud, you forget that the sky exists. You believe the turbulence and the darkness are the whole of reality. You have no perspective, no space, no peace. You are the storm, and you are tossed about by your own fury. This is the great case of mistaken identity that lies at the root of so much human suffering. We have come to believe that we are the contents of our consciousness, rather than the consciousness itself. The ego, in its endless quest to build a solid and definable self, latches onto these thoughts and emotions. They are the building blocks of the story it tells about you. It creates an entire character based on the recurring weather patterns of your mind. I am a worrier. I am a melancholic person. I have a bad temper. These labels feel solid. They feel real. They give the ego a sense of definition. But they are a profound lie. You are not the thoughts that think themselves in your head. You are not the emotions that flow through your body. They are events. They are visitors. They are temporary weather patterns passing through the vast, open, and unchanging space of your awareness. To identify with them is like the sky identifying with a single cloud, or the ocean identifying with a single wave. It is to mistake a fleeting appearance for your eternal essence. The inner experience of this truth is a shift from constriction to expansion. To be the cloud is to feel constricted, trapped, and overwhelmed. Your entire world shrinks to the size of your current emotion. If you are angry, the whole world looks irritating and unjust. If you are sad, the whole world seems bleak and hopeless. The cloud colors everything it touches. But to be the sky is to feel spacious. It is to recognize that there is a part of you that is simply witnessing the anger, that is aware of the sadness. This witnessing presence itself is not angry or sad. It is calm. It is clear. It is silent. It is like the deep, still ocean that is untouched by the churning waves on its surface. The waves are wild, yes, but the depths remain in perfect peace. This is not a conflict. It is a shift in perspective, a remembering of your true nature. It is the difference between being an actor lost in a dramatic role on stage and suddenly remembering that you are also the silent, watching audience. The actor weeps, but the audience is at peace, simply observing the play. The core message that will set you free is this: you are not the weather, you are the sky. You are not the furniture in the room of your life. You are the room itself. You are the space in which everything happens. Your thoughts, your emotions, your sensations. They are all temporary objects appearing and disappearing within the vast, welcoming space of you. The room is not damaged by an ugly piece of furniture. The sky is not stained by a dark cloud. The silence is not broken by a loud noise. The silence simply holds the noise and remains silence. In the same way, your true nature, this open awareness, is not harmed or diminished by the passing of any thought or emotion, no matter how painful or intense. When you truly understand this, not as an idea but as a lived experience, your relationship with your own mind changes completely. You no longer need to fight your thoughts. You no longer need to fear your emotions. They are no longer a threat to you. They are simply weather patterns. You can allow the storms of anger to rage, knowing that the sky that you are is untouched. You can allow the fogs of confusion to roll in, knowing that the sun of your awareness is still shining, waiting for the fog to clear. This is true equanimity. It is not the absence of storms. It is the realization that you are the sky that holds them all. How do you practice this? How do you learn to rest in the sky instead of getting lost in the clouds? You become a gentle meteorologist of your own inner world. Your practice is to simply and compassionately notice the weather as it passes through. As you go about your day, begin to observe your inner states with a light touch. When you notice a spiral of anxious thoughts beginning, instead of getting swept up in the narrative, try to gently and silently label it in your mind. This is worrying, or simply thinking. When a wave of sadness washes over you, instead of collapsing into it and saying, "I am sad," try creating a space with your awareness and noting, "Sadness is present," or "I am aware of a feeling of sadness in my body." This simple act of naming or noting is profoundly powerful. It is a subtle shift that changes everything. It takes you from being the subject of the experience, "I am angry," to being the observer of the experience, "I am aware of anger." It creates a tiny wedge of space between the weather and the sky, and in that space is your freedom. It is the practice of disidentifying with the content of your mind and re-identifying with the context that holds it all. It is the practice of remembering who you truly are, not the fleeting cloud, not the passing storm, but the vast, silent, and ever-present sky. You have rested in the silent, spacious sky of your own awareness. You have begun to untangle your identity from the fleeting weather of your thoughts and emotions. As you become more established in this place of inner stillness, something remarkable begins to happen. The world outside of you begins to change. Or rather, your perception of it changes so profoundly that it feels as if the world itself has been transformed. You begin to hear the universe whisper. When you were living in a state of resistance, with a clenched fist and a mind full of noise, you were looking at the world through a narrow, clouded slit. Your perception was tuned only to the frequency of your own agenda, your own fears, your own needs. You saw only problems to be solved, obstacles to be overcome, and dangers to be avoided. The world, seen through this lens, naturally appeared to be a random, chaotic, and often hostile place. You felt separate, isolated, a lone soldier fighting a solitary battle against a disconnected universe. This was not because the universe is inherently chaotic, but because your inner state was one of chaos, and the world you perceived was merely a perfect reflection of your inner turmoil. You could not see the subtle connections, the hidden patterns, the graceful currents flowing all around you, because the static of your own mind was too loud. Now, as you learn to let go, as you quiet the inner noise and surrender your rigid grip on how things should be, you are, in essence, tuning the instrument of your own consciousness. You are cleaning the lens. You are shifting your own frequency from one of resistance to one of receptivity. And by doing this, you begin to perceive signals that were always being broadcast, but which you previously had no capacity to receive. This is the realm of synchronicity. It is the experience of meaningful coincidence, of perfect timing, of grace. It is the experience of thinking of an old friend you haven't spoken to in years, only to have them call you that very afternoon. It is the experience of having a pressing question on your mind, only to open a book at random and find the exact answer you were looking for. It is the experience of taking a wrong turn, only to stumble upon something or someone that is profoundly right. It is the feeling of being in the right place at the right time, not by force of will, but by a kind of effortless grace. The world has not changed. What has changed is your ability to perceive its underlying harmony. You have finally become quiet enough to hear the subtle melody that has been playing all along. The emergence of synchronicity in your life will spark a new inner conflict, this time between the skeptic and the mystic. The skeptic is the voice of your rational mind, your inner scientist. When one of these meaningful coincidences occurs, the skeptic will immediately try to explain it away. It's just a coincidence, it will declare. A statistical probability. You are engaging in confirmation bias, only noticing the hits and ignoring the misses. The skeptic fears what it cannot measure, what it cannot prove with logic. It sees the world as a mechanical, cause and effect system, and anything that hints at a deeper, unseen order is a threat to its worldview. It demands proof, data, and repeatable experiments. But there is another part of you, your intuitive heart. This is the mystic. When a synchronicity occurs, the mystic does not need proof. It feels a quiet shiver of recognition. It feels a sense of rightness, a sense of being seen, a sense of being guided. It does not need to understand the mechanism behind the magic. It is content to simply experience the magic. It feels like a gentle wink from the universe, a quiet confirmation that you are on the right path. The skeptic in you will demand that you ignore these whispers as sentimental nonsense. The mystic in you will invite you to trust them as signposts on your journey. Your task is not to destroy the skeptic, but to have the courage to honor the wisdom of the mystic as well. The core message is this: synchronicity is the language of an aligned life. It is the natural result of moving from a state of resistance to a state of flow. These meaningful events are not rewards that the universe bestows upon you for good behavior. They are simply confirmations. They are the physical manifestation of your own inner alignment. When you stop trying to force your own path, when you stop swimming against the current of life, you naturally begin to be carried by it. And in that current, you find the other people, the opportunities, and the insights that are flowing in the same direction. You meet them not because you willed them into existence, but because you finally got out of your own way and allowed yourself to be delivered to where you needed to be. Think of it as a dance. When you were resisting, you were like a clumsy dancer, stepping on your partner's feet, trying to lead when you didn't know the steps, fighting the rhythm of the music. Now, by letting go, you have finally surrendered to the lead of your partner, the universe. You are listening to the music, you are moving in harmony, and the dance has become effortless and beautiful. Synchronicity is the feeling of your partner guiding you into a perfect, graceful turn you never could have planned yourself. Because these whispers are so subtle, and the voice of the inner skeptic is so loud, you must practice the art of listening. You must become a collector of evidence for your own heart. Your practice is to begin keeping a synchronicity journal. At the end of each day, or perhaps once a week, take a few quiet moments to reflect. Write down any small moment of grace, of surprising help, of perfect timing. Did the exact song you needed to hear play on the radio? Did you run into someone who had the answer to a question you were just pondering? Did a book fall off a shelf and open to a meaningful page? Did an opportunity appear from an unexpected direction? Write them down without analysis, without judgment. Just record the event. This simple act of noticing and recording does two things. First, it honors the experience, telling your intuitive self that you are listening. Second, over time, as you look back through your journal, you will begin to see a pattern. You will see that what the skeptic dismisses as a series of random, unrelated flukes is actually a beautiful, intricate, and intelligent trail of breadcrumbs left on the path to guide you home. You have begun to hear the whispers of synchronicity, the gentle confirmations from the universe that you are moving in harmony with a larger flow. This leads us to a profound shift in the very nature of our action. As you let go of your resistance, you discover that you no longer need to move through the world with brute force. You learn to access a new kind of power, a new kind of effectiveness, one that is born not of struggle but of grace. We must now explore the sacred art of effortless action. Our culture is built upon the cult of effort. We have been taught, from our first day in school to our last day in the workplace, that success is a direct result of the amount of force we apply. We celebrate the grinder, the hustler, the one who works longer, pushes harder, and sleeps less. We believe that more effort, more strain, and more willpower are the only reliable ingredients for achievement. This is the rock mentality applied to our entire lives. We throw ourselves against our tasks with grim determination, believing that our exhaustion is a badge of honor and that our stress is a sign of our commitment. This path, the path of brute force, is not wrong, but it is deeply inefficient, ultimately unsustainable, and it is the direct road to burnout. It is the path of a life lived in constant, low-grade struggle. There is another way, an ancient wisdom known as Wu Wei. These words are often translated as non-doing or non-action, but this translation is misleading. Wu Wei does not mean passivity or laziness. It is not an invitation to sit on the couch and wait for life to happen to you. Wu Wei means effortless action, or action that does not involve struggle. It is the state of moving through life with the ease and grace of a river flowing downhill. It is the action that arises from a place of deep stillness and alignment, when the anxious, controlling ego part of you that thinks it has to make everything happen gets out of the way, and a deeper, more intelligent energy is allowed to flow through you. Think of a master calligrapher. As she lifts the brush, she is not thinking, "I must make a perfect stroke." Her years of practice are held in her body, and in the moment of creation, she becomes a conduit. Her mind is still, her body is relaxed, and the stroke flows through her onto the paper, perfect in its imperfection. She is not trying, she is allowing. This is Wu Wei. It is the paradox of achieving more by trying less. This brings us to the inner conflict between the grinder and the channel. The grinder is the part of you that has internalized the cult of effort. It operates from a place of scarcity and fear. It fears that if it stops pushing, it will fail. If it rests, it will be left behind. The grinder forces itself to work even when it is tired, uninspired, or creatively empty. Its actions are characterized by tension, by force, by a feeling of should. It is the voice that tells you to keep rowing even when the boat is caught in a whirlpool. The channel is the part of you that has tasted the grace of Wu Wei. It is the part of you that has experienced a flow state, that has been so absorbed in an activity that time and the sense of a separate self melted away. The channel knows that your most brilliant ideas, your most effective work, and your most creative solutions do not come from a place of tense striving. They come when you are relaxed, open, and receptive. The channel does not force action. It waits for the right moment, for the right insight, and then acts with a swiftness and an ease that feels less like "I am doing this" and more like "this is being done through me." The grinder wants to take credit for the sweat. The channel is content to be a vessel for the inspiration. Your journey of letting go is the journey of learning to trust the channel more than the grinder. The core message is this: the greatest effectiveness is found not in maximizing your effort, but in minimizing your resistance. A life of Wu Wei is a life of supreme intelligence. It is the understanding that you are a part of a vast, interconnected system that has its own currents, its own tides, its own rhythms. To live in struggle is to try and row your small boat against the mighty current of this system. It is a heroic, but ultimately foolish and exhausting endeavor. To live with effortless action is to have the wisdom to turn your boat around, put your oars away, and use a gentle rudder to navigate the powerful current, letting it carry you toward your destination with grace and speed. Sometimes, the most powerful and effective form of action is, in fact, non-action. It is the strategic wisdom to wait for the storm to pass before setting sail, to wait for the soil to be fertile before planting the seed, to wait for the other person's anger to subside before speaking your truth. This is not the passive waiting of resignation. It is the active, alert waiting of the hunter, of the master strategist. It is the letting go of the need to act from a place of anxiety and the cultivation of the patience to act from a place of wisdom. How do you begin to practice this seemingly paradoxical art? The state of Wu Wei is not as foreign to you as it sounds. You have already tasted it. Your practice is to recognize where it already flows in your life and to learn to invite it into other areas. So, ask yourself, what is the activity in my life where I lose all track of time? Where does the noisy, critical voice in my head go silent? Where does the feeling of a separate me who is doing something fade away, replaced by a feeling of pure, absorbed presence? Is it when you are playing a sport? When you are lost in a piece of music? Is it when you are gardening, writing, painting, or solving a complex problem that fascinates you? Identify this activity. This is your personal gateway to Wu Wei. The next time you engage in it, pay close attention to the feeling. Notice the relaxed concentration. Notice the absence of struggle. Notice the sense of ease and flow. This feeling is your guide. It is the state you want to cultivate. Then, begin to bring a small piece of this quality to other tasks. Before you start a difficult piece of work, instead of tensing up and charging in, take 3 deep breaths. Bring a sense of relaxed, open curiosity to the task. Let go of the need to have it all figured out. Just take the first, small, easy step. You are learning to invite the channel, to let go of the grinder. You are learning that you do not have to carry the entire weight of the world on your shoulders. You can put it down, align yourself with the great current of life, and let it carry you home. We began this journey together with the image of a clenched fist. Do you remember the feeling? The tension in the knuckles, the strain in the forearm, the desperate, fearful energy of holding on. The fist was the symbol of our struggle. It was the posture of a life lived in resistance. Resistance to the past, to the future, to our own feelings, to the very flow of life itself. The fist was a fortress, built to protect a small, frightened self from a world perceived as hostile and chaotic. Now, after walking the path of release, after learning to anchor ourselves in the breath, to flow like water, to endure the fire, to honor the present, to forgive, to surrender, we arrive at our destination. And we find that the destination is not a place, but a new posture of being. The journey from struggle to grace is the journey from the clenched fist to the open hand. I invite you now to simply open your own hand. Uncurl your fingers. Let your palm face the sky. Feel the release of tension. Feel the softness. This is the posture of your true nature. It is the physical embodiment of letting go. This open hand is not an empty hand. It is a hand that is full of the wisdom you have gathered. Look at its openness and see in it the qualities you have cultivated. It is open because it is no longer grasping at the ghosts of the past. It has learned the liberation of forgiveness. It is open because it is not trying to seize control of the future. It has learned to dance with uncertainty. It is open because it is no longer clenched around a rigid identity. It has let go of the mask and embraced the fluid truth of the river within. The open hand is a sign of trust. It is a vulnerable posture, and in its vulnerability lies its supreme strength. It is the courage to face the world without armor, because you have discovered you are not the fragile thing that needs protecting. You are the vast, untouchable sky. The open hand is a sign of receptivity. It is ready to feel the warmth of the sun, to catch a drop of rain, to receive a gift. It is quiet enough to feel the subtle vibrations of synchronicity, the gentle guidance of the universe that a clenched fist could never perceive. It is the posture of a soul that has stopped shouting its demands at the world and has finally become quiet enough to listen. To live with an open hand requires the ultimate courage, the courage to be vulnerable. The last vestiges of your ego, the old soldier within, will warn you that this is dangerous. It will whisper that an open hand can be struck, that a soft heart can be broken, that a trusting soul can be betrayed. And the ego is not wrong. To live with an open hand does not mean that pain will never touch you again. The winds of life will still blow, the storms will still rage, but your relationship to them has been transformed. The strength of the clenched fist was the brittle strength of a rock, which shatters under too much pressure. The strength of the open hand is the resilient strength of a willow tree, which bends in the wind but does not break. It is the courage to say, I trust that I have the inner resources to handle whatever life places in my palm, be it a stone or a jewel. You no longer need the outer armor of control and resistance, because you have found the inner sanctuary of your own being. You have discovered that you can provide your own safety through your presence, your awareness, and your trust in the flow. The profound magic of the open hand lies in its capacity for reciprocity. A clenched fist can do only two things. It can hold tightly to what it already possesses, or it can strike out in aggression. It can neither truly give nor truly receive. It is a closed system, impoverished by its own defensiveness. But the open hand can do everything. It can give freely, without an agenda, without the transactional need for a return, because it is connected to an infinite source. It can offer comfort, create beauty, and extend peace. And just as importantly, it can receive. It can accept help without feeling weak. It can accept love without feeling unworthy. It can accept the unexpected blessings of the universe without questioning them. When you live with an open hand, you cease to be a dam, hoarding your own small puddle of resources and energy. You become a channel. You become a conduit through which the grace of the universe can flow. Love, abundance, creativity, and peace are not things you must acquire and possess. They are currents in the great river of life. By opening your hand, you allow these currents to flow to you and through you out into the world. You do not just find grace, you become an instrument of it. Your final practice on this path of release is to live this truth for just one day. We will call it the practice of the open day. For the next 24 hours, your intention will be to meet your life with an open hand. This does not mean you must say yes to every external demand. You have already learned the wisdom of the gentle fence. Instead, it means you will bring a spirit of yes to reality itself. You will let go of your inner argument with what is. When an unexpected inconvenience arises, instead of your habitual inner clenching and complaining, your first response will be a soft, internal yes. This is what is happening now. When a difficult emotion surfaces, instead of resisting it, you will meet it with an open-handed yes. I will allow you to be here. When the weather changes, when plans fall through, when the world does not conform to your preferences, you will practice this quiet, courageous acceptance. You will first say yes to the reality of the moment, and then you will choose your response from that place of clarity and peace. For one day, you will stop fighting. You will drop the rope. You will live as a channel, not a dam. Pay attention to how this feels. Notice the energy that is freed up. Notice the sense of peace that arises when you are no longer at war with your own life. This is the feeling of coming home. This is the profound, simple, and life-changing grace of the open hand. We have come to the end of our path of release, arriving at the quiet grace of the open hand. But where have we truly arrived? After this long and sometimes difficult journey, After unclenching the fist, quieting the echoes, and surrendering the fight, what is the ground upon which we now stand? The final letting go is the letting go of the journey itself. For the entire path was never about going anywhere new. It was, and has always been, about coming home to yourself. For most of your life, you have lived in a state of quiet, unrecognized exile. You have been a stranger in your own home, a tourist in your own life. Your awareness has been colonized by the demands of others, by the ghosts of your past, by the anxieties for your future. You looked for your reflection in the eyes of others. You searched for your peace in future achievements, and you sought your sense of security in your ability to control the world around you. You were looking for home everywhere except for the one place it has ever existed, within the sacred ground of your own being. This feeling of inner alienation, this sense that you are not quite all there, is the fundamental wound of the human condition, and the entire journey of letting go has been the medicine for that wound. Think back on the path we have walked together. Each step was a step inward, a step closer to home. When you learned to unclench your fist, you were coming home to the wisdom of your own body. When you let go of the echoes of the past and the tyranny of the future, you were coming home to the sanctuary of the present moment. When you allowed the fire of your pain to burn, you were coming home to your own resilience and strength. When you dissolved the mask of your identity, you were coming home to your own raw authenticity. When you learned to say no, you were building a fence around your own sacred garden. Each act of letting go was not a loss. It was an unburdening. It was the removal of a layer of dust, of noise, of illusion that was obscuring the simple, luminous truth of who you have always been beneath it all. You were not adding anything new to yourself. You were not becoming a better person. You were simply returning to your essential nature. You were remembering. And this leads to the final, most subtle letting go of all. As you walk this path, you may have unknowingly picked up a new, sophisticated identity, the identity of the seeker. You become the spiritual person, the one who is always working on themselves, always searching for the next insight, the next breakthrough, the next level of consciousness. The search itself can become another form of striving, another kind of doing that keeps you from simply being. The ego is clever. It can turn even the search for peace into a source of restlessness. The final letting go, then, is the release of the search itself. It is the courage to admit that you have arrived. It is the realization that the peace you were seeking is the stillness that was always here beneath the noise. The love you were seeking is the compassion that arises naturally when you stop judging yourself. The worthiness you were seeking is the inherent dignity of your own existence. There is nowhere else to go. There is nothing else to find. The treasure you were sailing the world to discover was buried in your own backyard all along. What does it feel like to be home in yourself? It is not a state of perpetual bliss or a life free from problems. The world will still be the world. The weather of your mind will still produce clouds and storms. To be home is not to live in a perfect, unchanging climate. It is to be the house that stands firm and warm and welcoming, regardless of the weather outside. It is a deep, quiet, unshakable sense of okayness at the center of your being. It is an intimacy with your own life. You are no longer at war with yourself. You listen to the whispers of your intuition. You honor the needs of your body. You can be with your joy without desperately clinging to it. And you can be with your sorrow without being destroyed by it, because you know that you are the home that holds both. You are your own sanctuary. You are your own refuge. The frantic search for safety and approval in the external world finally ceases, because you have found the source of all safety and all approval in the quiet acceptance of your own heart. You were never lost. You were simply looking in the wrong direction. Now that you have returned home, your practice changes. It is no longer a practice of seeking or of intense release. It becomes a practice of simple, loving maintenance. It is the art of tending to your own inner hearth, of keeping the home fires burning. This is your new and beautiful work. Several times a day, let your practice be one of gentle inquiry. Pause for a moment. You can place a hand over your heart to anchor your attention. And you can ask your deepest self a simple question, "My dear one, what do you need right now?" And then, in the stillness, you listen. You listen with the same loving attention you would give to a beloved child. Perhaps the answer that arises is, "I need a glass of water," or "I need to step outside and breathe fresh air for a moment." Perhaps it is, "I need to hear a word of kindness," and you can give that to yourself. You are doing your best. It is enough. Or perhaps it is simply, "I need a moment of silence." This practice is how you stay home. It is a continuous conversation of self-compassion. You become your own loving guardian, your own trusted companion, your own deepest friend. You have returned from the long exile. Welcome home. Tridas, Zam Tuiching, Hit Dinching Tuzui. We began our journey together with the image of a single leaf in autumn, letting go of the branch, not with a struggle, but with a quiet, trusting surrender. After this long walk through the landscape of your inner world, you can now understand the depth of that simple act. The entire journey from the clenched fist to the open hand, from the noisy marketplace to the silent sky within, has been about learning the profound wisdom of that leaf. It has been about unlearning the habit of resistance and remembering the art of release. Letting go, you have discovered, is not an act of losing something. It is the act of creating space. You let go of the past to make space for the present. You let go of the need for certainty to make space for possibility. You let go of the noise of the world to make space for the whisper of your own soul. And you have learned that when you finally create this inner space, the universe, in its great intelligence, begins to fill it. This is the secret behind the promise that when you let go, the universe arranges everything. It is not a transactional magic. It is a natural law. The universe is not a cosmic servant waiting for your command. It is a great river, and for most of your life, you have been trying to swim against its current. The arrangement that comes from letting go is the simple, beautiful result of you finally turning around, ceasing your struggle, and allowing the current to carry you. The right people, the right opportunities, the right insights, they were always in the river with you, but you were too busy fighting the flow to notice them. By surrendering your personal, ego-driven battle, you align yourself with the universal flow. And life, instead of being a constant struggle, becomes a graceful unfolding. The work, however, does not end when these words fade. This is not a destination at which you have arrived, but a new way of walking that you will practice for the rest of your life. Every day will present you with a choice. In every moment of frustration, of fear, of ambition, you will be faced with the old familiar temptation to clench your fist, to resist, to control. And in those moments, you will remember the feeling of the open hand. You will remember the vastness of the sky within you. You will remember the ease of the river. Letting go is not a one-time event. It is a moment-to-moment choice. It is a continuous commitment to trust over fear. Do not look for grand, thundering miracles. Look for the quiet shifts within. Look for the pause before a reaction. Look for the ease in your shoulders. Look for the kindness in your own inner voice. This is the evidence of your transformation. The universe is not waiting for you to become perfect. It is not waiting for you to have all the answers. It is waiting for you to get out of your own way. It is waiting for your cooperation. It is waiting for your open hand.